Scott Richmond finally got his chance to play for the Toronto Blue Jays, it was a dream come true. It also country at the Beijing Olympics. Today he plays for Canada, and he'll do so against the team that signs his checks. It's a warm-up for the WBC next from Dunedin. Of a cold Canadian winter, this is a pretty good sight. The boys of summer are playing baseball again. It's a cool, crisp day in Dunedin, Florida, and today we present Team Canada against the Blue Jays in exhibition play. Boy, are we ever glad that you've joined us today. I'm Jamie Campbell, joined by Sam Cosentino for some exhibition baseball here in Dunedin, Florida. And Sam, over the course of the broadcast, we'll be addressing a number of interesting storylines, but perhaps the most interesting deals with the man on the mound for Team Canada today.
Well, Scott Richmond, over the course of last year, was called up just before Team Canada left for the Olympics. He did not get a chance to participate for Canada in that event, but realized the big league dream getting called up to the Blue Jays. Here he's in familiar territory, facing the team whose rotation he's trying to crack.
And he is the ace of the Canadian staff due to the absence of names like Ryan Dempster, Rich Harden, and Jeff Francis. And he came up on the day he was supposed to be introduced as an Olympian, and he really acquitted himself quite well last year with the Blue Jays. Now, he knows that there are some pretty good bats playing in support of him, among them a former MVP of the American League in Justin Morneau.
Yeah, and it moves on from there. You talk about adding a little right-handed thunder to the lineup. Russell Martin, what a huge addition, not just behind the plate to handle the staff, but again, another right-handed stick. And then it moves on from there. Everyone is familiar with what Jason Bay can do, especially after being traded over to the Boston Red Sox. And finally, you can't forget this guy, Blue Jays fans especially. We'll keep an eye on Matt Stairs, that Game 4 NLCS home run and World Series ring into his resume now.
Yep, Matt Stairs now 41 years of age. He knows this ballpark quite well. Now, the Blue Jays were relatively quiet during the free agency period. They did not sign a major league free agent, but they did add a couple of interesting bodies.
Well, Kevin Millar should bring something to the clubhouse. He's going to get some repetitions at third base. Matt Clement is a reclamation project. Hayhurst on and off the roster. But more importantly, Michael Barrett in to back up Rod Barajas and maybe take some time so those two can share at bats. Burnett's on, and two outfielders in Wilkerson and Mensch all gone.
And we'll deal with the Blue Jays lineup for today very shortly, but you'll notice a few names absent because they have a few other players that will be taking part in the WBC.
And one of those guys not on that board just pulled himself off the U.S. roster is B.J. Ryan, but nonetheless, with those guys gone, all very important pieces for the Blue Jays moving forward. The Blue Jays are happy, however, to get those guys innings and at-bats in a competitive situation playing for their respective countries.
Well, for many of you, this could be your first look at spring baseball, and we're certainly happy to provide Team Canada against the Blue Jays. First pitch is coming up next from Dunedin, Florida.
It's the day where nothing else matters. The day the hockey world stands still. And it's the day we shine.
Toronto's dipped its toe into the market.
Hockey Central is ready to go with wall-to-wall coverage of the trade deadline. We will have reporters with the Habs and Sens plus every other Canadian team. Stuck at work? Log on to sportsnet.ca for live streaming. Plus, sign up for text alerts on your cell phone. Tomorrow.
Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Give me the stuff. That's sweet, funky stuff.
Getting money shouldn't be so hard, especially when it's yours to begin with, like your tax refund. With H&R Block's instant cashback, walk in with your taxes, walk out with your money. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today or give us a call.
Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby.
Well, don't be misled by the sunny skies here in Dunedin, Florida. It is a little cool as Team Canada gets set to hit against Mike Maroth and the Blue Jays. Here's a look at the lineup. You'll get to know Chris Barnwell over the next few days as they prepare for their opener on Saturday against the United States. Russell Martin is behind the plate, an all-star. Joey Votto can swing the bat. Look at those strong lefties like Justin Morneau. Jason Bay, a right-handed hitter now with the Red Sox. Mark Teahan, not born in Canada, but he has roots there. He'll be playing for the Canadians. And then it's Stairs, Koski, and Orr to round it out against today's starter, making his first start of the spring. It's Mike Maroth. And so Maroth with the first pitch, and it's time to play some ball here in Dunedin. So glad that you've joined us. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. Here's Barnwell, a 30-year-old, born in Jacksonville, Florida. Has little time in the big leagues 2 years ago with the Milwaukee Brewers.
And Barnwell's a guy who's really come up under the radar for Team Canada, and a guy in a position for Team Canada where there's been some concerns up the middle defense, and hopefully Barnwell can not only bring the defense but add a little offensive flair as well. It's a good possibility we'll see him here in this leadoff spot or in the 2-hole once the WBC gets going officially underway.
Here's Maroth with the windup on the 2-1. And so the count now runs 3-1 in favor of Barnwell. Maroth, now 31 years of age, and he is dealing right now with a tear in the cartilage of his left knee. So here's a pitcher who's pitching through pain as he walks Barnwell, the leadoff man for Team Canada. That gives us a chance to look at the Blue Jays defensively.
A bit of a different lineup used by Cito Gaston with 2 games, including a B game yesterday. His regulars getting a day off. Ruiz over at first. Adams and McDonald make up the double play combination. Good-looking prospect Scott Campbell at third. Inglet, Lane, and Lowen will man the outfield while Michael Barrett gets the start and the chance to catch Mike Maroth.
Batting second for Team Canada and hitting from the right side is Russell Martin.
And you know, Jamie, you can't talk about what a huge addition this is going to be. You go back to 2006 and Martin felt he'd better stay in camp with the Dodgers, a good opportunity to impress upon the Dodgers staff that he wanted to be there, that he was committed to being there. And now with things well settled and underway, playing for Joe Torre, he gets a chance here to represent his country, and Canada could not be happier.
Yes, it was a different story back in '06 when he was trying to make that club. And now Martin will provide a solid player behind the plate, and there was a chance he might not even be here, a very slight chance, mind you, as he rolled his ankle about a week ago in spring training with the Dodgers.
You know, and luckily for Canada, he was able to get into a situation back and catching. And so at that point, it would have been tough for the Dodgers to make the appeal to Major League Baseball and to the World Baseball Classic and say, hey, we don't think this guy should play. All sides agreeing, and of course, Team Canada director Greg Hamilton in constant communication with Ned Colletti, the GM of the LA Dodgers.
Maroth now with a 2-1 pitch, a swing and a miss from Martin. That evens the count at 2-2. And this is a big outing for Mike Maroth, because as much as there are openings in the rotation, there are some young pitchers, Brett Cecil among them, who have started to really impress early on here in camp.
There's no question. And the one thing Cito Gaston likes to have in his lineup, you go into places like New York 3 times a year, you go into places like Boston 3 times a year, you want to have a left-handed starter that you can throw out there and have some success, who has some experience playing in those big game situations, and to neutralize each of the short right porches in each of those ballparks.
Just underway now from Dunedin. Nobody out here in the top of the first inning. Barnwell at first after he walked, and now a 3-2 pitch on the way as Maroth checks Barnwell. He gets back in time.
And that's one of the things when Ernie Witt looked at Barnwell and discovering who he might put in the leadoff spot. Pete Orr, who will hit ninth, was obviously a consideration there, but Barnwell had a pretty good on-base percentage, and for that reason, he gets the 1-hole here for Canada.
3-2 pitch, just a little outside, and now back-to-back walks issued by Mike Maroth. And that's going to be trouble, because the sweet swing of Joey Votto now comes to the plate for Team Canada.
What an outstanding year Votto had last year. I mean, the 3-home run game against the Cubs, 84 RBI, something that hadn't been done in Cincinnati by a rookie since 1956, when Frank Robinson was able to drive in 83 runs. So you talk about historical numbers. Joey Votto has already been a pretty big part of that in the Cincinnati organization.
2 men on, nobody out, and Votto takes a strike. He had a monster year for the Reds last season, hitting .297 with 24 home runs, and finished second in voting for the Rookie of the Year in the National League to the Cubs catcher Giovanni Soto. 0-1 is the count. Pitch is down. Now 1-1 on Votto. Team Canada will play 3 exhibition games down here in Florida, and then head back to Toronto for the opener against the United States on Saturday. If you haven't picked up your tickets and will be in the area, make sure you join us at Rogers Center for what should be an electric environment. There's the 1-1 on the way, and that's outside.
By all accounts, Jamie, ticket sales in the 35 to 40,000 range, and you would expect with some walk-ups and the opportunity to see Canada participate here over the next couple of days that if that crowd gets upward of 40,000, it is going to be one exciting place to be.
2 balls, 1 strike. Roth checks the runner at second. Here's the pitch, and it's a strike to even the count at 2-2. Of course, if you can't join us at the ballpark, we will have the broadcast for you beginning at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, coast to coast, on Rogers Sportsnet.
Everyone will be geared up for that one based on the fact that in 2006 Canada was able to defeat the U.S.
Outside again, and boy, Maroth is really struggling in the early going here.
Well, Jamie, you touched on that left knee issue, and one of the things that people don't consider is that when you have a left knee issue, your body compensates for it without you actually knowing it, and what that can do is really play on your mechanics and in fact at times lead to injury in the upper body region.
There's a swing and a ground ball for Adams. He'll flip over to second, McDonald to first, and a double play. So Maroth, who struggled through the first couple of batters, gets the ground ball he was looking for, and suddenly there are 2 away.
Well, Taylor made a couple of hops where as much as Martin has a good lead here, even though the flip's a little high from Adams, Johnny McDonald no problem in turning it over to Randy Ruiz to complete the 4-6-3.
So Barnwell advances to third on the play, now 2 down. And here's Justin Morneau. You know, Sam, as much as there are many left-handed hitters in the Canadian lineup, many of them don't have a problem with left-handed pitching.
Well, just so used to doing it from growing up, and the guys who played in college and through the minor leagues. You're talking about some very experienced hitters, but it is a nice luxury to have when you can sprinkle in a Martin, you can sprinkle in a Bay, a Barnwell, right-handed bats that may force some pitching matchups once WBC play starts.
That's fouled back now. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Morneau. The only Canadian to win the American League Most Valuable Player. And last year he finished second to Dustin Pedroia, in part due to a relatively slow September. Ball and 2 strikes, and that's fouled away as well.
Well, he's quite a talent, and 1 year into an 8-year, $60 million deal with the Minnesota Twins, they couldn't be happier to have him locked up, and makes up that M&M combination with Joe Mauer.
Here's the 1-2 pitch inside. Maroth on the hill for the Blue Jays, spent 6 years with Detroit. Well known for losing 21 games back in 2003. And he gets the swing from Morneau, who goes down, and trouble averted for Mike Maroth as he gets out of the inning without giving up a run.
In your fight against plaque that can cause gingivitis, Oral-B Vitality is on your side. Its oscillating, rotating cleaning action removes up to 2 times more plaque to help stop gingivitis before it starts. The affordable, rechargeable Oral-B Vitality.
Getting money shouldn't be so hard, especially when it's yours to begin with, like your tax refund. With H&R Block's instant cashback, walk in with your taxes, walk out with your money. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today or give us a call.
Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Do your thing. Do what you wanna do now.
Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Now do your thing for less. Save 15%. Book now.
Back in Dunedin, Florida, bottom of the first inning. And Joe Inglet will lead off for the Blue Jays, playing in left field. Russ Adams, the #2 hitter today. And Scott Campbell, a pretty good prospect who plays third base, bats third. Jason Lane, who came over from the San Diego Padres organization, is the cleanup man. Michael Barrett behind the plate bats fifth. Randy Ruiz got a taste of the majors last year. Adam Lowen, what a story. We'll discuss him during the broadcast. And he'll be followed by Buck Coates in the #8 hole and shortstop John McDonald. That is the lineup issued by Cito Gaston today. And Gaston gets to face one of his own pitchers. And he happens to be Vancouver's Scott Richmond.
One thing I like about Richmond, he's always around the zone. I mean, 2 walks in just 20 innings last year at the big league level. And anytime you can induce contact, it keeps your defense on its toes. And it allows you usually to keep the pitch count down. And so Richmond will look to do both of those things. And, you know, you talk about the World Baseball Classic, Jamie, and pitch count is definitely an issue. There are pitch count limits depending on which round it is. There are certain rest requirements that have to be met. And in this particular case, where it's a preliminary game, the maximum pitch count is 50. So we'll keep our eye on that, not just today, but throughout the World Baseball Classic.
Joe Inglet shoots a ball out toward left field. Out to get it, Barnwell. It goes over his head, and Inglet has a leadoff base hit.
Well, the wind blowing out to right field here in Dunedin this afternoon, and Joe Inglet able to take advantage of a 1-0 pitch and just drop it into left field. And that's one thing about Joe. You see that pitch just tailing away from Richmond a little bit. Again, we talked about Richmond pitching to contact, and this one just happens to find a spot where they were not.
Here's Russ Adams now. And the ball gets away from Martin, so off to second goes Inglet. And just like that, the Blue Jays have a man in scoring position.
And this is going to be a very accelerated learning curve for Russell Martin. He has to not only learn his staff by name and introduction, get a chance to try and work with each and every one of them, all 13 pitchers that Canada's possessing.
This one is belted to right field. Matt Stairs is back to the wall. Plays it off the wall. Adams headed for second. Inglet stops at third. And Russ Adams has a double. So early on here for the Blue Jays, things seem to be going well against Scott Richmond.
The next batter batting in the third position.
Well, anytime you fall behind in the count, that leaves danger in your path. And here Russ Adams takes a pitch right down the heart of the plate, a little down, but left-handers like it down, and he's able to drive this ball off the wall in right field. And again, being helped this afternoon by a fairly strong wind blowing out to right field.
Second and third now for the Blue Jays, and Scott Campbell from Auckland, New Zealand. And a breaking ball that Martin can't find. And it's interesting, the feeling out process that we're going to see here involving Martin and a number of the pitchers that Team Canada will bring in. There's a good look at the flags out in center field.
Left-handed hitters. You want to keep that ball away from the left-handed hitters today with that wind blowing straight out to right, and it's blowing out hard.
On the ground, Barnwell goes to first. And Campbell brings in a run as Inglet scores, and the Blue Jays are first to hit the scoreboard.
Well, you're Scott Campbell. That's your job in the situation with 2 outs and less. Get the runner in. And defensively for Team Canada, it will play out like this. We've seen Russell Martin behind the plate catching Scott Richmond. Votto, Bay, and Stairs make up the outfield. Mark Tien plays third base here this afternoon with Justin Morneau across the diamond. Barnwell and Orr make up the double play combination.
One gone now for Jason Lane. And here's a man who might provide a little bit of a headache for Cito Gaston because his spring numbers so far, a .429 average in 6 games, have been awfully impressive. A couple of home runs thrown in too.
We'd heard so much about Campbell last year, and now showing some versatility in the field.
This one popped up back at first base. Morneau's out there for a look. And it drops in foul territory. Jason Lane signed as a free agent with the Blue Jays in January. He spent all of last year in the AAA systems with both Boston and New York, and has really made an early impression here in camp with the Blue Jays. And he's an experienced player. He played with the Houston Astros for many years and hit 26 home runs with them in the year they appeared in the World Series in 2005. 2 strikes on him, and he goes after that one. So Richmond gets the strikeout of Lane, and there are 2 gone.
A good job by both Russell Martin and Scott Richmond to climb the ladder just a little bit here, and that ball up in an area where Lane can't get it.
So Michael Barrett now steps in with 2 away. Barrett signed to a minor league contract with an invite to training camp after a shortened year with San Diego last season. 1 ball and 1 strike now. He spent the majority of his major league career with the Expos as a first-round pick, and then the Chicago Cubs, and somewhat famously got into that scrap in the dugout with Carlos Zambrano.
He's a big guy. I never realized how big he was, and when you look at the size of Zambrano, it would have been a pretty good tussle.
Would have been one. That's down low and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. If you've just tuned in, I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. Exhibition baseball here as Team Canada plays their first game in preparation for the WBC against the Blue Jays. Vancouver's Scott Richmond with the 2-1, swung on and missed, and it's a 2-2 count.
A good breaking ball by Richmond there, had Barrett just a little out ahead.
Russ Adams at third, already 1-0 for Toronto. Here's the 2-2 offering from Richmond on the ground down the third baseline and just foul.
A little interesting situation here, and it happens on occasion in spring training, Jamie. Art Thigpen is the third base umpire, and just 3 umpires being used in today's game. And like I say, it happens on occasion. Availability of umpires, number of games.
Ground ball for the shortstop Barnwell. And he's a little wide at first, but the stretch by Morneau, and that'll do it. The Blue Jays score a run on 2 base hits and lead Team Canada.
Gillette, the people who know men best. Gillette High Performance Shampoo, engineered with charged cleansers that attract dirt and oil and power them away for a charged clean that lasts all day. Gillette High Performance Shampoo. Take charge of your hair.
Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Now do your thing for less. Save 15%. Book now.
It's Arby's $5 roast beef roundup. For a limited time, mix and match 2 delicious sandwiches with slow roasted, thinly sliced seasoned roast beef for just $5. Hurry to Arby's for the $5 roast beef roundup. I'm thinking Arby's.
Watch the World Baseball Classic in its entirety here on Rogers Sportsnet. All 39 games available in high definition beginning Thursday morning. Check the time on this one if you are having trouble sleeping. 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 1:30 in the morning. For those of you watching on Sportsnet Pacific, it's Japan against China as they move toward the final game to be held in Los Angeles this year, as the WBC returns for the second time. So Mike Maroth begins his second inning of work. He walked a couple in the first inning, and here in the second we'll face Jason Bay, Mark Teahan, and Matt Stairs. The Blue Jays hit the board first on a single and double by Inglet and Adams. Inglet was brought in by Scott Campbell, so it's 1-0 for the Blue Jays. Jason split the season last year between the Pirates and the Red Sox. He didn't provide the antics of Manny Ramirez, but he did a nice job of replacing his bat.
It was funny. I had a chance to meet with Jason behind the batting cage today and talk about what it was like to go from Pittsburgh to Boston. And he said one minute you kind of just go through your everyday routine. You go home after the game, you sleep. But when you go to Boston, it's an entirely different story there. You are the centerpiece of the attention of the entire city, and especially with the way Bay performed when coming over, being involved in a couple of wins very early right after the trade. And all of a sudden, the city really took a liking to him.
Here's the payoff pitch, and that's ball 4. So Maroth has walked 3 in a short outing so far.
We'll take a look at Mike Maroth and what we can expect from him today. Some of the things that we've already seen. He's got that left knee that could be an issue, and that's the plant knee, so very important for the pitcher. He also had shoulder surgery last May, and because of that is pretty rusty. He hasn't had the opportunity to pitch too much, just 3 appearances with Kansas City last year. And so this is a guy who's trying to prove himself, get back to the big league level, and really to find comparative numbers you have to go back to when he was with St. Louis in 2007.
Well, over the last 24 hours, Mark Teahan has been teased as the fake Canadian by many of his teammates. He was actually born in California. As he swings and misses, 0-2 now on Teahan, but his father Mike played for the Canadian national baseball team back in the 70s, and most of his family on his father's side is from, of all places, the home of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in St. Mary's, Ontario. So Teahan was thrilled to be part of this Canadian team for the WBC.
Teahan getting the start at third base, but the Kansas City Royals have already moved him from third to the outfield. He's played the outfield corners, and now this year trying to convert him into a second baseman. So he's had to bring one bag just full of gloves, let alone the spikes, the bats, and everything else.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed. And so Teahan has gone on strikes, and Maroth has his second strikeout.
Good job, little slider down that Teahan can't reach, and the round of applause you hear in the background is for none other than former Blue Jay Matt Stairs.
Stairs at the plate with a man on and 1 out. You know, about 10 minutes from here in Clearwater, the home of the Philadelphia Phillies spring training facility, and it's pretty tough to walk around the area without somebody talking about the home run that Matt Stairs hit off Jonathan Broxton in game number 4 of the National League Championship Series.
Gave the Phillies a 3-1 lead, a 7-5 win in that game, and that was no cheapie. You know, in watching a lot of games on TV, that's one of the furthest balls I've ever seen hit. That was a rock.
And here he is wearing the Canadian colors, and he's been wearing them for a long, long time. Stairs with the 1-1 is outside. Let's take you back to a 5-5 game.
I mean, man, when you get up in that part of the pavilion in Chavez Ravine, you are doing something and generating 1 ton of power.
Maroth checks Tien at first. And Stairs is really still benefiting from that one home run. I read a story that he went back to Fredericton this winter and signed some autographs for a charitable cause, and about 2,500 people showed up to meet him.
They were about to name a street after him in Fredericton. They couldn't do it this year because a rather shortened off season for Stairs, but they hope to get it done next year.
Two balls and two strikes. Here's the pitch. And Stairs is gone.
And that just goes to show you that it's spring training. Whenever you see Matt Stairs check a swing, he's not one to leave anything in the bank. And here Maroth fools him again with that good slider that he was able to use to get Tien. He does the same thing to Stairs.
Well, here is one good story. Corey Koski swinging a bat for Team Canada. And if you've followed his story, you know that for the last 2 years or so, Corey Koski himself probably never figured he was going to play baseball again after suffering a concussion while playing with the Milwaukee Brewers in July of 2006. And here he is, feeling good too. His health is as good as it has ever been.
And he gave Greg Hamilton, the director of Baseball Canada, a call and said, hey, I want to compete for your country. And Greg Hamilton, knowing how valuable each of the 28 roster spots is, said, well, we need to have you with a clean bill of health by February 1st. Koski was able to meet that requirement, and here he is.
And Koski, who was the starting third baseman for Team Canada in 2006, also had to accept a lesser role. He knows that chances are he'll be coming off the bench late in a ball game if need be. And he was very comfortable with that. A 2-1 offering now is inside from Maroth, and we've seen a lot of this from Maroth. 3-1 counts. He's had a lot of trouble getting ahead of hitters today.
And I was really worried about his control coming into this game, knowing that that left knee is wonky. And when you talk about that being your plant foot, we mentioned before that, hey, that can also affect your upper body mechanics. Your body compensates so you feel less pain, but mentally you don't think you're doing anything differently.
That's in on Koski, and it hit him.
And for Koski, with that 3-1 count, you can really zone in on a pitch that you want to hit. And here Koski sees this offering inside, does very little to get out of the way, takes it off the right elbow. And you look at what Maroth is able to do at that left knee and how important it is to have your plant knee in good shape. And for Maroth, that simply isn't the case. But by the same token, this guy wants to win a big league job. He thinks, he knows in his head that the only thing that's going to fix that knee is surgery. But he quite simply doesn't have time to get it done right now. And so until it becomes a point where he can no longer pitch, he'll be out there giving it his all, trying to pick up a spot on this Blue Jay pitching staff.
Top of the second here in Dunedin. 2 men on for Team Canada, 2 away. And the number 9 hitter, Pete Orr, swings at the first pitch and drives it toward the gap in right center field. And it gets down for a base hit. So Jason Bay comes in to score. Here's Koski all the way around, and the Canadians have a 2-1 lead.
Pete Orr getting it done for Ernie Whitten, Team Canada, out of the 9-hole, and a ball hit well to the left center field gap. First pitch swing, that ball's away, and what does Orr do with it? He goes away with it. And I think there's a little bit of friendly competition here. He knows that, you know, Barnwell can play shortstop. He knows that it's a possibility that Mark Tien may be moved over to second and Koski into third base. So Pete Orr is coming into this little mini camp, if you will, knowing that there's some heat on him in order to get his at-bats.
And Barnwell goes after the first pitch, flies to right field. Adam Lowe in there to make the catch. And the side is retired, but Canada scores 2 on the double by Orr and has a 2-1 lead.
Introducing a sweet and simple way to get 100% naturally sourced psyllium fiber. New sugar-free Metamucil pink lemonade flavor. It tastes so irresistible, it makes it easy to get the fiber you want. New Metamucil pink lemonade.
You're the sugar, I'm the spice. Yeah, we fit real nice. You're the singer, I'm the song. A-side, B-side, we get along. Everyone keeps trying, but they won't tear us apart. Yeah, well, they all know that you got me from the start. Oh yeah,
Find your source. Find your source.
Vanilla Tango.
New Source Vanilla Tango. 2 delicious flavors in a single cup.
Find your source.
Get set for a marathon of television. It's the Hockey Central Deadline Edition 2009. Tomorrow beginning at, get this, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Get up, grab a coffee, and tune into the panel to find out what is going on in the National Hockey League on trade deadline day. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino here in beautiful Dunedin, Florida, as the Blue Jays and Team Canada square off in an exhibition game. And Scott Richmond, by virtue of a Peter Orr double in the top half of the inning, enjoys a 2-1 lead. Here in the bottom of the second, he'll face first baseman Randy Ruiz, right fielder Adam Lowen, and the DH today, Buck Coates. First up, though, Ruiz, a 31-year-old from the Bronx. Prior to this season has been with 10 major league organizations, and only last year made it to the major leagues. He got 22 games with the Minnesota Twins. Pretty good bat here, though. He was the International League batting champ last year with Rochester, hitting .320.
And anytime you can make a pickup like that, it gives you some organizational depth. It gives you some backup plans should one of your first basemen get hurt or possibly traded away. And there has been some talk about that with the Blue Jays.
2 balls and 1 strike now on Ruiz, with Scott Richmond on the mound for Team Canada. And the ball is hit to left field, in the air for Joey Votto. Not a familiar position for him out there, but he makes a nice catch.
He did get a couple of reps out in left field with Cincinnati last year, but most known for his positioning at first base and a battle with Scott Hatteberg for playing time that Joey Votto won rather handily.
Well, how times change. The man at the plate for the Blue Jays right now was their pitching star against the United States at the last World Baseball Classic, Adam Lowen, who went 3 2/3 of scoreless baseball against the United States almost 3 years ago in what amounted to perhaps the greatest single game upset in Canadian baseball history.
Now,
one that shocked the Americans, and that is for certain. I talked to Derek Jeter after that game and said, did you know who Adam Lowen was before this game? And he said, nope, but I know who he is now.
A first-round pick, and obviously with that electric arm, but an arm that couldn't hold up. But you know, you talk to people around Baseball Canada and Greg Hamilton and Jim Baba, and they say, let me tell you, when this guy was coming up and represented our country on the junior level, he could hit and he could field his position extremely well. Now, when asked this morning before the game, Cito Gaston said the one thing we're concerned about, and it's a legitimate concern, is that arm. Is it going to be able to hold up under the rigors of playing the outfield?
Little chopper that bounces in front of the plate, and he is gone.
Well, Lowen makes no effort to get out of the box in this particular situation, and a nice, good, smart play here by Russell Martin. He pops out of that crouch and immediately gets out in front of the plate to make the play. And so Martin very heads up behind the plate for Canada to record the second out of the inning. And watch how quickly he gets out of the crouch here. It's balls pounded, and look at Martin. Boom. Right up, mask off, catches it in fair territory, simply makes the tag himself to record the out.
That may not go over well with Cito Gaston, the inability to run down the line.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, that's the, you know, when you talk about a guy who's changing positions in a great story, you still have to be able to do the things at the big league level. And so in front of this big league staff, sure, they're going to want to keep an eye on things like that.
Here's the DH, Buck Coates, now with 2 gone. The 1-1. Now 2-1 from Richmond. And Sam mentioned this earlier. Richmond is on a very strict pitch count today. He cannot exceed 50 pitches in this exhibition game. Now 2-2 on Coates.
That pitch count will raise in game number 1 of the World Baseball Classic. He'll be able to throw 70 pitches in the first round.
This is one of the problems that Ernie Witt will face over the next 3 days, essentially how to get 27 innings out of 13 pitchers.
And that's just it. As a backup, the Blue Jays have decided to lend a helping hand, should it be required here today.
A strikeout of Coates and a 1-2-3 second inning for Scott Richmond. When we return, Martin, Votto, and Morneau for the Canadians.
Gillette, the people who know men best. Gillette High Performance Shampoo, engineered with charged cleansers that attract dirt and oil and power them away for a charged clean that lasts all day. Gillette High Performance Shampoo. Take charge of your hair.
Putting money in your pocket shouldn't be so hard, especially when it's yours to begin with, like your tax refund. H&R Block's expertise and new tax law changes could mean more money back than you think. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today.
Keep the good times going, starring Bud Light.
Hey, Bud Light, do something. We can't stand it anymore.
Poor guy. He's just a little lonely. Let's party.
The easy drinking taste of Bud Light.
Keep the good times going.
On March 10th,
fasten your seatbelt.
Jason Statham transports you
Fired.
to a whole new level on Blu-ray. Transporter 3 on Blu-ray and 2-disc DVD March 10th.
It is a bright sunny day here in Dunedin, Florida. A little cool though, that's why you see a lot of jackets. This is Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino and Barry Davis as the Blue Jays and Team Canada square off an exhibition play. Replacing Mike Maroth on the mound now for the Blue Jays is left-hander Fabio Castro, who was picked up from the Phillies last year in the deal that sent Matt Stairs to Philadelphia.
It was a strange deal in that Matt Stairs was actually outrighted first, but the dynamics of the deal forced that situation to happen. A player to be named later, and it was realized that once the season had ended that Castro would be that player. And anytime you can add a left-handed arm to your repertoire, usually they either become good pieces to your bullpen or tradable pieces.
Martin, Votto, and Morneau due for Team Canada here in the 3rd inning. Mike Maroth's line, they only gave up 1 hit. Not that impressive. He walked 3 and gave up a couple of runs on the 2-out double by Peter Orr in the 2nd.
I was able to mix in a couple of strikeouts, and you know, you can't discount the fact that he's pitching with a bad left leg, and that's something he's just going to have to battle through.
2-1 now to Martin, and a strong stroke to right center field. And that ball rolls all the way up against the wall as Martin turns for second, and he's got a leadoff double.
Russell Martin's hands are so quick that he can allow the ball to travel just a little further. And in this particular 2-1 pitch, you watch it travel well back into the zone, and he simply takes it into the right center field gap, putting on a line drive display.
So back comes Etobicoke, Ontario's Joey Votto. You know, the Cincinnati Reds have had their troubles in the last few years winning ball games, but they have a nucleus of some fine young ball players, and Votto is certainly head of the class in that respect. He chops it toward the right side. That will advance the runner as Castro covers, and there's one gone.
Yeah, nice job by Votto there, that in the event you can't drive the run in from second base, the very least of your jobs there is to move the runner to third, runner at third base, less than 2 out. And that's why Votto will get congratulations on his way to the dugout.
And that gives Justin Morneau a chance to drive in a run with a fly ball to the outfield. Infield is in here to try and cut off the run as Castro deals, and it's fouled straight back. Morneau had a tremendous year with Minnesota last year, a .300 average. He hit 23 home runs and drove in 129, and somewhat incredibly won the home run derby at the All-Star game, despite the night that Josh Hamilton had.
Yeah, not that anyone would know it.
And that ball handcuffs Russ Adams. It squibs into center field. And here comes Martin. The lead now 3-1 for Team Canada.
Well, it's got to be a terrifying proposition when the infield drawn in and you have a power hitter like Morneau up there. And he does what he's supposed to do. He hits the ball hard, breaking ball, able to turn it over to the right side and catches Russ Adams on the short hop as he moves to his backhand, squeaks through. Team Canada able to take a 3-1 lead as a result.
So scored a base hit. If you are scoring at home for Morneau, he gets an RBI and sets the table for Jason Bay. Bay walked and scored in the second inning.
Unquestionably, the strength of Team Canada is its 3, 4, 5 hitters. You start with Votto and his average. Justin MVP, Jason Bay drove in over 100 runs last year. Each of those guys hits with power. They can get on base, and they all have a very good approach in terms of what they want to do when they get to the plate. You just saw it there with Morneau. Hey, I need to get this ball at the very least to the right side to bring that run in. He was able to hit it hard enough to get it through and pick up the RBI.
Morneau with the lead at first. Bay the batter, 3 balls and no strikes. The pitch from Castro in the zone, now 3-1. Between Pittsburgh and Boston last year, Bay combined for 31 home runs and drove in over 100 runs as well. And he draws a walk here for Team Canada. Men at first and second now.
Now batting third baseman number 24.
That's the type of selectivity that we'd mentioned. When you get the heart of that order up, able to move it down through the order, and the strength of Canada is even once you get through that 3, 4, 5, you still have a very accomplished hitter and Mark Teahan to deal with, and then Mark Stairs to protect him. And so that middle of the order is, I would say, amongst the best in the World Baseball Classic.
And Sam, it's the kind of patience that will serve the team well once play begins at the WBC, considering the pitchers are on limited pitch counts.
And this is a team that, if you go back to 2006, led the World Baseball Classic in on-base percentage. And yeah, the quicker you can run those pitch counts up, the more success you're going to have as you get into the deeper parts of various countries' bullpens.
Tien is 0 for 1 after striking out at the hands of Maroth in the second inning. And though he's playing third base today, you will probably see Tien play some second base perhaps in the next couple of days, out of respect to the Kansas City Royals, who, as you mentioned, are converting him to a second baseman. Checks his swing and fouls it back.
Jamie, that's one of the challenges for anyone participating in this event. Looking at Canada's bench and what the coaching staff and Greg Hamilton, who is the key man in this, has to be in contact with all the general managers, because you have to be able to work with each of the respective general managers and provide these players with the opportunity to develop here in spring training in the way in which that team wants their player to develop. So if there's a guy trying a new position, of course Team Canada would like to try him there. If there's a pitcher who has certain pitch count restrictions, they have to respect that in order to get the cooperation of the respective organizations in another international event. And I think Greg Hamilton has done that. He's communicated it to Ernie Witt. And sometimes you have to work within the framework of what's given you.
Well, Greg knows that you can't really mess with the major league organizations. If you do, then 4 years from now, when you're looking for a player to help provide Ernie Witt with some, competitive balance, a team might come back and say, well, you overused a certain prospect 4 years ago, and we're not going to be as cooperative this time around.
And that's the gentlemanly part of the game. J.P. Ricciardi on the Blue Jays side has had to go through those very same things in dealing with the various countries that have contacted him in order to use Blue Jays players at the World Baseball Classic.
Little roller foul back to the mound. It was an interesting comment that Cito Gaston made before the game today. He said, I don't know which one of us is supposed to go out and get Scott Richmond if he's thrown too many pitches. Is it Ernie or is it me?
Or does he send, should he have struggled, do you send out Brad Arnsberg to talk to him?
Right.
Or Denny Boucher?
That's right. There's Cito looking on as he begins his first full year in his second go with the Blue Jays as manager. That's up high from Castro. Team Canada on the strength of a double to lead off by Martin, and then a sharp single that snuck through the glove of Russ Adams, extending the lead now to 3-1 in the top of the third inning here in Dunedin, Florida. Fabio Castro in relief of Mike Barath, with a payoff pitch now to Mark Tien. And it's on the ground for Adams, the second baseman. The throw is high, but John McDonald comes down in time, touches the bag, and gets the force.
That's one of the toughest plays for a second baseman to make. When you're forced into the hole, the option is, do you stop and pivot back facing the body to the inside as Russ Adams does, or do you plant that right foot and turn around towards the outfield and bullet to second base? In that particular situation, so far away from the bag, Adams had to get a little more on that throw, and by trying to do so, threw it just a little high. Good job by John McDonald to settle things down, take the sure out, and not try and do too much with that ball.
Back comes Matt Stairs, who struck out in the second. Bouncer in front of the plate. No throw from Barrett. And Tien takes second.
And that's one of the things you're taught to do in spring training, Jamie. You're taught, if you're on first base, to watch the flight of the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand. And if you see it's a low flight, then you need to be well aware that if that ball gets in the dirt and squeaks away just a little bit, you're already halfway on your way. That breaking ball by Castro in the dirt about 1.5 feet in front of Barrett, and a nice job there by Tien to read the play and react, getting to second base. And you know, Jamie, that's one thing I really like to see my pitchers do. When they come in out of the pen, I want to see them be aggressive, be quick to work, come in with a game plan, and throw the ball. And we've seen Castro labor throughout this inning, walk around the mound, check the rosin bag, and it just seems to me to exude a lack of confidence. Paint job in the outside corner. Stairs watches that go by, but he's such a selective hitter that he waits for the ball to get into his zone. And should you get it there, you know he's going to take a rip at it.
2-2 now. 2 gone, 2 men on for Team Canada. Castro the pitch, and it's strike 3 called. Down goes Stairs. He might have jelly-legged him a little bit. And so 2 are left here in the 3rd inning. As Canada, as we head for the bottom of the 3rd, has a 3-1 lead.
In your fight against plaque that can cause gingivitis, Oral-B Vitality is on your side. Its oscillating, rotating cleaning action removes up to 2 times more plaque to help stop gingivitis before it starts. The affordable, rechargeable Oral-B Vitality.
It's scaling new heights and covering new ground. Lone riders and easy riders. Big hugs and big mugs. It's home and abroad. It's a story told every day. Not just any story, but our story.
Keep the good times going, starring Bud Light.
Hey, Bud Light, do something. We can't stand it anymore.
Poor guy. He's just a little lonely. Let's party.
The easy drinking taste of Bud Light.
Keep the good times going.
Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Now do your thing for less. Save 15%. Book now.
Those of you watching in the Ottawa area and the eastern part of the country, we encourage you to tune in a little early tonight to the Ottawa Senators broadcast. They'll be taking on the Calgary Flames, and make a donation if you can, as the Rogers House Telethon is underway beginning at 6:30 Eastern Time. That's 7:30 Atlantic, raising some money for a tremendous cause in the honor of the late Roger Nielsen. That comes your way tonight, preceding the Ottawa-Calgary game on Sportsnet East. Here in Florida, I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. We'll hear from Barry Davis a little later on. It's the Blue Jays and the Canadians. As there's a little flare back of second base. Peter Orek to get it. John McDonald is retired, and there's one away here in the 3rd.
Your next batter.
Little flare, and Pete Orr having to deal with some wind issues as well. Breaks back in that ball, makes a decent play to record the first out. And you know, Jamie, when we saw that Scott Richmond was getting the start, we said, hey, this is a guy that pitches to contact. He really relies on his defense, and he has done that for the most part in this game. Able to pick up a couple of strikeouts, but he's allowed hitters to put the ball in play, relied on his defense. The defense has responded.
Joe Inglet squares and turns the bat back. He singled and scored in the 1st inning. Joe was a waiver claim from the Cleveland Indians in September of '07, and boy, did he ever show his versatility last year.
He sure did, and he's going to get some repetitions in center field. As Cito Gaston told us before the game, we know he can play a couple of different infield spots, and he's played some left as well.
There's a number toward 3rd. Tien was in and makes the play easily against the speedy Inglet. There's Chris Begg from Uxbridge, Ontario. He is scheduled to replace Scott Richmond, whose pitch count nears 50.
Longtime member of Canada's national team. We'll get a look at what Begg is able to bring to the table.
Ernie Witt has yet to establish his rotation for the World Baseball Classic, but he is certainly leaning towards having Scott Richmond start what we'll term the elimination game, and that will likely mean Richmond would face Venezuela, whether it's on Monday or even Tuesday. It all depends on how things turn out in the opening game against the United States. But at this point, and again, Ernie hasn't made confirmation, we're expecting to see veteran pitcher Mike Johnson start on Saturday against the United States.
And here are the various locations in yellow at the top of your screen, and each of the 4 teams participating in the respective pools. See, Toronto will play host to Canada, Italy, the U.S., and Venezuela. Pretty good group in San Juan as Puerto Rico gets home field advantage with the Dominican Republic team there.
Round 1 is double elimination, and so if you lose 2, you're gone. Win the first 2 and you automatically advance to the next round.
A little different format than last year, and the way things went for Canada, and big win against the U.S., losing to Mexico, a tough but successful game against South Africa, and the only 2-1 team not to make it through into the second round. It's going to be pretty busy getting started on Saturday afternoon at the Rogers Centre.
2 games on Saturday. The game on Sunday features the respective winners. So the winner of Canada against the United States, and likely Venezuela, who would be considered the heavy favorite against Italy. Scott Campbell comes back up to the plate and faces Richmond. Campbell was a 10th round pick in 2006 from Gonzaga University, and appeared for the World Team in the Futures game last year at Yankee Stadium, just prior to the All-Star game.
Selected to play in the Arizona Fall League, and that's a pretty good honor when you're one of the higher prospects in the organization. You're not allowed to just send whoever you want there. It's a very selective process. J.P. Ricciardi selecting Campbell to participate in that, and when you can go and get a chance to play at the end of your regular season in that type of environment with all top prospects, it usually bodes well for your progress and development, and Campbell has turned some eyes here early on in camp with the Blue Jays.
Here's Richmond trying to get out of the 3rd inning. 1 ball and 1 strike to Campbell, who laces the ball to right field. A base hit. Adams takes off and stops at second. So Campbell, who drove in Toronto's lone run in the first, has his first hit of the game.
The next batter, center fielder, number 11, Jason Lane.
He's really opening some eyes in this Blue Jay organization.
Well, he sure has. He's now 3 for 11. This ball here hit pretty hard, and towards the end of the bat sneaks it through the hole on the right side just to keep things going here with 2 outs.
Back comes Jason Lane, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And he swings and drops the ball in center field. Around comes Adams. He scores. And it's now a 3-2 lead for Canada. And Jason Lane continues to impress Cito Gaston and the Blue Jays staff.
Drives in his 5th run of the spring, taking Scott Richmond's first pitch in the at-bat and just dropping it into center field. He got it off the end of the bat, and because of that, no chance for Bay to come in and retrieve that ball. No chance for either the middle outfielders or Barnwell to go out and get it, and Lane has himself another RBI.
And so that's the end of the line for Scott Richmond.
Pitch count situation for Richmond, and overall a decent outing, and doing all the things we expected him to do. Just the 1 walk, the walk that comes back to haunt him in Adams. Able to strike out a couple and let the defense do most of the work for him.
So in trots Chris Begg, and he will take over when we continue on Rogers Sportsnet.
Is your after-workout routine slowing you down? Get up to speed. Many studies show that 30 minutes after you work out, your body could use carbs and protein. Chocolate milk has protein to help you build and repair body tissues. Chocolate milk, it'll move you.
There's a look in from center field as Chris Begg warms up. He'll be taking over for Scott Richmond here in Dunedin with Team Canada on top of the Blue Jays 3-2 with 2 gone in the bottom of the 3rd inning. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. As you look at Begg, a 29-year-old from Uxbridge, Ontario, just outside of Toronto. After 8 years in professional baseball, mostly with the San Francisco Giants organization, he is currently unaffiliated.
Pitched at a couple of different levels, A-ball levels, low A and high A last year. Also pitched a couple of games in the Can-Am League with Quebec. And this is a pretty big event for Chris Begg. I mean, if this is a guy who wants to continue on in his professional baseball career, he can really turn some eyes by what he does here throughout the course of the World Baseball Classic.
The Blue Jays have 2 men on base. Scott Campbell up at second. Jason Lane, who drove in the run, stands at first. And veteran Michael Barrett stands in at the plate. Takes the first pitch for ball 1. Barrett grounded out to short in his first at bat in the 1st inning. Barrett took a foul ball off his face in a game in July last year with the San Diego Padres and suffered a variety of fractures, and it knocked him out for the rest of the year, and in fact gave an opportunity at the major league level to Canada's current backup catcher, Luke Carlin. So Barrett's injury a year ago in San Diego opened the door for Carlin, who we might see take over for Russ Martin later on in this ball game.
And for Barrett, it just seems that the Blue Jays are happy with their young catchers, J.P. Arancibia, Brian Girolamo, that it's maybe buying the Blue Jays some time before those guys are ready to participate at the big league level on an everyday basis. If you're J.P. Ricciardi and you're Cito Gaston, you have to be happy with what you're able to get out of Rod Barajas last year. Greg Zahn moving on to the Baltimore Orioles, and it was necessary to find an experienced second catcher, if you will.
Raul Chavez was brought over as well, and as you touched on, they've got a lot of good prospects. The feeling is they will not start the year with a prospect as a backup, say Arancibia or perhaps Brian Girolamo. It looks like they'll want to have an experienced backup man behind Barajas as Barrett waves at that pitch. Martin can't find it. He better hurry. Rifles it down to first base and is able to get the out.
Oh, and take a look at Martin and that wonky ankle after that.
It's scaling new heights and covering new ground. Lone riders and easy riders. Big hugs and big mugs. It's home and abroad. It's a story told every day. Not just any story, but our story.
Buying your first home can come with a lot of unexpected costs. Did you budget for a home inspector? Dad doesn't count. And you'll need to pay for better legal advice than your friend Tiffany's. How do you know how much a house really costs? BMO First Home Essentials is a complete first-time buyer's guide that helps you plan the biggest purchase of your life with confidence. This step-by-step guide includes helpful checklists and an online planning tool that covers everything from figuring out what you can afford to budgeting closing costs in detail. And the Home Buyer's Hotline is there when you need it. Plus, when you get a BMO mortgage with a 5-year fixed-rate closed term, you'll receive free banking for 5 years. Also, get up to $1,000 cash back. It could come in handy for renovations. BMO First Home Essentials makes buying your first home make sense. Only $24.95 plus applicable taxes. Refunded when you get a BMO mortgage. Call 1-866-567-3062 to order.
Back in Dunedin, and Russell Martin was able to make this play on the strikeout of Barrett, but did he perhaps twist his ankle a little awkwardly?
See the left leg go into the right ankle right there, and that contact kicks that right ankle out. Martin would, thanks to the communication of Begg, able to make the play on Barrett, but he walked very gingerly back to the dugout, and that's something we'll definitely have to keep our eye on.
For Team Canada, designated hitter number 47, Corey Koski.
Yeah, that one kid.
So we begin the fourth inning then with Corey Koski stepping in against Fabio Castro. Peter Orr on deck for Canada, and then it's back to the top of the order and shortstop Chris Barnwell. 3-2 Canada entering the fourth inning. Koski was hit by a pitch in the second inning and came around to score on Orr's double.
I really liked the last pitch we saw from Castro in the inning previous when he was able to get stairs.
There's a liner to Adams, and Koski is gone.
Not hit particularly well on an easy play for Russ Adams to make, and it's been a pretty tough road to hoe for Russ Adams. Not that good, clean, crisp sound you're used to, and Adams takes one step to his left to make it, but taken off the 40-man roster, went through the entire league on waivers, and the Blue Jays still feel that he's a necessary part of the organization. They're just not sure where he fits, so he was signed to a minor league contract here in big league camp and now trying to earn a job somewhere in the organization.
He was waived about 2 weeks ago and went unclaimed. And this from a guy who in 2002 was the Blue Jays' first-round draft pick and starting shortstop in 2005.
Displayed pretty good power last year in Syracuse. Started to play the outfield a little bit and just trying to increase his versatility so that should a utility job come up somewhere across the major leagues and JP Ricciardi can move him and get him a chance to play, I'm sure that's something the Blue Jays would entertain.
Peter Orr steps in for Team Canada, a man who impressed in a brief call-up with the Washington Nationals last year. He faces left-hander Fabio Castro. Three balls and two strikes. And it's hit to left field. Well hit, in fact, backing up Joe Inglet. Right in front of the track. Joe is there. And Orr is gone. 2 away.
2 down in the inning. You got to love spring training. The coaches get a chance to sit outside the dugout. They get the lawn chairs. They get a little screen to protect them. And the reason the coaches sit out there, it's a couple of things. A, they want to get a closer look at the action. They're allowed to. It's a little more laissez-faire here, if you will, in spring training. And the other thing is they can talk amongst each other about various plays and or players without having to worry that a full dugout of players is listening to their assessments. So it serves 2 purposes for those guys to be able to sit out there, enjoy the sun a little bit. Cito Gaston has sat there many a time.
Certainly some of the unique aspects of spring training baseball. It won't be long before you see a number of the pitchers running sprints from pole to pole in the outfield while the game is going on.
Yeah, just some leg maintenance. They call it poles. Exactly. They run foul pole to foul pole in the warning track, usually carrying on a conversation with an outfielder or two. I've been part of that in a couple of spring trainings. But again, it's that nice, easy, laissez-faire attitude that really ramps up as we move closer to the regular season.
2-1 on Barnwell here, and that's wide of the plate. 3-1. I tell you, Sam, it's supposed to be warmer down here, though.
You're telling
my
me.
hands are cold enough that I'm having trouble writing in the scorecard.
To wear the gloves and the jacket. We're not supposed to tell that to the people at home. We're supposed to say, oh, yeah, it's 85 degrees.
Well,
the sun is out.
Our statistician, Scott Carson, tells me it's dropped all the way down to 49 degrees. As Barnwell draws a walk. I'm thinking the people back in Canada who are snowed in don't care. So
you got that right.
We'll cut it off
We'll take
right
the
there.
sun. Barnwell able to reach base for the second time in this game, both by way of the walk, a fly out to center field, sandwiched in between those plate appearances, and that's exactly what Team Canada is looking for out of him. Get on base, allow you to get through to the middle of the order and see if they can't bring Barnwell around.
Well, here's a good sign for the Canadians. Russ Martin, obviously healthy enough to come in and have an at-bat here in the fourth inning. Two away in the inning as Martin looks at a pitch high. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I've liked the velocity Castro's been able to bring to the table, but obviously you want to see the control a little better. It is early in spring training. He's been able to pitch to contact, a 385 average against coming into this game, but pretty good velocity, and we've already seen a couple of good breaking balls out of him, especially the one to get Stairs that ended the third.
He's got some big league experience. Castro pitched in 10 games with the Phillies last year. Came up with the Texas Rangers 2 years ago. 2-1 on Martin. And the pitch inside. So it's 3-1 on Russell Martin.
Castro will have a big, fat, shiny ring to show off to whomever his teammates are this year with the Phillies winning the World Series.
Martin doesn't like it, but there's strike 2.
Yeah, Martin thought this pitch was just low from Castro. Started his walk, and a bit of a late call there by DJ Rayburn. Said, wait a second, you come on back here.
So here comes the payoff then from Castro, and it's a ground ball for McDonald. He's done this a million times. The throw to first, Martin's gone, and the half inning is over as 1 man is left.
In your fight against plaque that can cause gingivitis, Oral-B Vitality is on your side. Its oscillating, rotating cleaning action removes up to 2 times more plaque to help stop gingivitis before it starts. The affordable, rechargeable Oral-B Vitality.
You're the sugar, I'm the spice. Yeah, we fit real nice. You're the singer, I'm the song. A-side, B-side, we get along. Everyone keeps trying, but they won't tear us apart. Yeah, well, they all know that you got me from the start. Oh yeah.
Getting money shouldn't be so hard, like your tax refund. With H&R Block's instant cashback, walk in with your taxes, walk out with your money. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today.
It's Suzuki's 100th anniversary, and we're giving you lots of great reasons to celebrate. Starting with the fuel-efficient SX4 sedan, a car that's fun to drive with European-tuned suspension and the largest trunk in its class. Plus a great 5-year powertrain warranty and a company that'll be around when you need them. And right now, to celebrate our 100th anniversary, get 0% financing or lease from just $199 a month. Come and celebrate with us. Go to Suzuki.ca and visit your local dealer for a test drive today.
Well, opening day is not far off. April the 6th. It's presented by the Toronto Star and the Fan 590. Pick up your tickets by calling 416-341-1234. You can log on to BlueJays.com. It's the Tigers in for 4 to begin the season. Opening night at Rogers Center is on Monday, April the 6th. For those of you who will not be in the Toronto area, make sure you join us for opening night here on Rogers Sportsnet. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino from a chilly Dunedin. Team Canada enjoys a 3-2 lead over the Blue Jays in exhibition play. The Canadians are warming up for the WBC that begins for them on Saturday afternoon at Rogers Center against the Americans. Chris Begg on the hill, a right-hander, gets a swing and a miss from Randy Ruiz, the first baseman. Ruiz 0 for 1. He flied out to left field in the second inning. Drives the ball to right field. Here's Matt Stairs on the run. It's over his head and off the base of the wall. Ruiz turns for second. The throw is late and Ruiz slides in with a double.
Not the easiest play for a right fielder. A ball off the right-handed bat tends to slice, and then you add the wind into that equation, and this is a ball that Matt Stairs simply couldn't get to, and probably not tall enough to get to even if he was able to get there in time. So plays it perfectly with that one hop off the wall. Good strong throw to second, and Ruiz has to get down and dirty in order to slide in safely.
That's why Cito Gaston the other day was telling us that he felt center field was the easiest position to play among the 3 outfield spots as Adam Lowen takes ball 1.
Yeah, you have a lot more
if
ground
you have
to
the
cover.
speed. He did add
Right.
that as long as you can run.
But the ball flight is a lot truer coming to center field. When you play left or right field, depending on which way the hitter is, the ball often tends to move towards that line in either a slice or a hook fashion, depending on what handed hitter is up. And so it can be a tough situation, but the one thing that's not taken account in Cito's comments there is that the wind probably tends to wreak havoc in center field more than it does in each of the 2 corner spots.
Ball gets away from Luke Carlin, and Ruiz picks up third. There's Carlin, who takes over behind the plate from Russ Martin.
Yeah, you talked earlier, Jamie, about the injury to Michael Barrett that allowed Carlin to step in and was able to catch Greg Maddox's 350th career win. So pretty thrilling opportunity for a guy who had 3 major league stints with San Diego last year, resulting in just 36 games played.
And a shift in the infield, as you saw. Mark Tien now at second. Line drive to right field. Over Morneau. In comes Ruiz, and the Blue Jays have tied this game.
I don't know if he's going to stop running anytime soon. And that'll be called, yeah, it'll be a ground rule
double.
What happens is in that right field corner is actually the entrance into the Blue Jays clubhouse area.
I guess the fence was open.
Yeah, and they leave the fence open so guys can come in and out. So ball right down the middle for Adam Lowen, who takes former national teammate Chris Begg right into the corner, and this ball will actually disappear. Perfectly placed.
Oh, beautiful. That's like a 20-foot putt right there.
And there it goes.
So Lowen with a double drives in a run, and the Blue Jays tied at 3. There's Mark Tien now playing at second base, as Buck Coates, the DH, stands in against Chris Begg.
Buck Coates was all the rage last year coming out of camp, and in fact broke with the Blue Jays north. Got into a few games, and he's got good speed, plays all 3 outfield positions, and a guy who's very valuable to the organization.
A chopper foul. Hey, the third member of our broadcast team is Barry Davis. Barry, take it away.
All right, thanks, Jamie, with Scott Richmond. And I know how much you were looking forward to today's outing, and it's so funny that last summer you couldn't play for Canada because the Blue Jays wanted you, and now here you are with the Canada jersey pitching against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, today was a special day for me, and I felt good out there and facing my guys that I've played with, and going to camp with here in spring training and at the home park here with all the guys watching. It was a good feeling, and went out there and just tried to do well, get ready for the WBC.
I know you had a strict pitch count. You had a really good second inning, a little bit of trouble in the first and third. How much was racing your heart there when you went on the mound today?
Yeah, just fastball was up in the zone a little bit. I was feeling pretty relaxed, but obviously emotions and adrenaline's out there getting you going a little bit. Once I got that into composure, I settled down and got down the strike zone and finished strong.
And next time out at the Rogers Center, this is going to be a big one for you.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, back on Canadian soil with all the family and friends, and, just Canadian pride. Everybody's going to come out and all the flags in the stands. It's going to be great.
All right, thanks, Scotty.
Thank you.
All right, guys, here's Scott Richmond. Back to you.
And he alluded to it. A couple of his fastballs were up. He will tell you straight up his game is at its best when he keeps the ball down, tries to pitch to contact. A pretty good outing today from Scott Richmond. And there's the strikeout of Buck Coates as Chris Begg gets the call.
Coates not necessarily in agreement with that call, but for Begg, he picks up his second strikeout since coming into the game to replace Scott Richmond.
The line on Richmond, 2 2/3. He gave up 2 runs, both earned. On 4 hits, a couple of strikeouts, and he walked a batter. Chris Begg takes over and has one away in the 4th inning. A run in for the Blue Jays on Adam Lowen's double. Adam stands at second for John McDonald. McDonald's role is clearly defined for the Blue Jays this year. As the backup shortstop, it'll be Marco Scudero manning that position on opening day. And he gets under this one, popping it up over near short. There's Barnwell. And he has the ball in glove for the out.
Mac a little disappointed there. And for John McDonald, Jamie, the whole thing when the new regime took over, if you will, on June 20th last year, and Gene Tennis brought in as the hitting coach, they really wanted him to start to look in. Hey, listen, he's not going to be a power guy. He's probably not going to be a 320 hitter. But they wanted him to zone in, look middle in, and try and drive the ball whenever possible. I think it was a situation where before McDonald felt like he had to use the entire field in order to get on base. That philosophy has changed somewhat now, and with that breaking ball away, not happy with that at bat.
Well, Joe Inglet now comes back for a 3rd time. He singled and scored in the 1st inning, ground out to 3rd base back in the 3rd. So he's 1 for 2 today with a run scored. And we were talking with Cito Gaston before the game. As much as Vernon Wells fully expects to be in the opening day lineup in center field, Cito was asked if he's not, who are some of the candidates for center field? And among them, he tabbed Joe Inglet.
Yeah, probably 2nd or 3rd on the depth chart. Alex Rios already playing there when he's with the club, obviously with Puerto Rico now. And the interesting note that it was just announced today that Vernon Wells has actually been pushed back about a week. And so Cito Gaston really loves his players to feel familiar with 2 things. A, where they're going to hit in the lineup, and B, what position they're going to play. That's why, as a safeguard, he has put Rios into center field, knowing that he may very well start the season there and be in a position of comfort.
There's a strikeout on a foul tip. Down goes Inglet. Down go the Blue Jays, but not after a couple of doubles. Ties the game here in Dunedin.
The Good Times Going, starring Bud Light.
Hey, Bud Light, do something. We can't stand it anymore.
Poor guy. He's just a little lonely. Let's party.
The easy drinking taste of Bud Light.
Keep the good times going.
50 years ago, a message was buried in a time capsule.
Maybe it's like a math puzzle.
Now, the pattern has been revealed.
It's a list. This predicts global disasters that haven't occurred yet.
The secret has been unlocked.
The numbers are a warning. They're a warning to everyone.
The future is in his hands.
Get off the train.
Nicolas Cage,
What happens when the numbers run out?
knowing.
In theaters March 20th.
You're the sugar, I'm the spice. Yeah, we fit real nice. You're the singer, I'm the song. A-side, B-side, we get along. Everyone keeps trying, but they won't tear us apart. Yeah, well, they all know that you got me from the start. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You can rise and shine with the Hockey Central crew tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. They will begin a marathon of speculation and trades on deadline day in the National Hockey League. It's Hockey Central Deadline 09, and it comes your way first thing in the morning tomorrow. Here in Dunedin, Florida, this game is now tied at 3 between Team Canada and the Blue Jays. Jamie Campbell, Sam Cosentino, and Barry Davis are with you. And we certainly appreciate your viewership. For many of you, this is the first look at spring ball, and certainly a first look at TJ Beam in a Blue Jay uniform. He'll come on and relieve Fabio Castro.
Had some big league time. Pittsburgh.
First pitch swinging is Joey Votto. Ruiz has it. Votto's gone. 1 pitch, 1 out for Beam.
It seems to be fashionable, Jamie, but a lot of pitchers now talk about pitching to contact, and Beam is one of those guys. And we had a conversation with him just a couple of days ago about his repertoire and about his approach out there, and pitching to contact was definitely part of that approach. 1 pitch, 1 out.
He faces Justin Morneau now. Beam throws a Fosh ball. In fact, he was kind enough to try and attempt to explain what a Fosh ball was and show us the grip.
Yeah, very interesting setup, and I'm going to learn the trade from Nardi Contreras as a pitching coach in the Yankees organization.
Base hit from Morneau.
Well, there's no question that off of Beam, Team Canada has come out swinging. The first pitch resulted in a ground ball to second base by Votto. Another left-handed hitter, and Morneau comes up and punches it through the left side.
Back comes Jason Bay, who has walked both times previously and scored a run in the second inning. The Blue Jays took the lead early in the bottom of the first inning as Joe Inglet scored on a ground out by Scott Campbell, but Team Canada came back in the second. A 2-out, 2-run double by Peter Orr made it 2-1, and then added a third run in the third inning. Russ Martin had doubled, and Morneau drove him in with a sharp single that seemed to handcuff Russ Adams. The Blue Jays, though, have crawled back with a run in the bottom of the third and another at the bottom of the fourth inning. So here we begin the fifth inning with the score tied at 3. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Bay. He fouls it straight back. Bay has represented Canada on many levels, including the Little League World Series way back in 1990. Played in the World Juniors with Canada in '96. And was a key member of the '06 World Baseball Classic team.
Yeah, had a lot of success in that event. Not quite the power and production numbers you expected, but a good average, a good on-base average for Bay.
2-2 being the off-speed pitch, and there goes Bay.
Now I think you're starting to see the results of the pitch we talked about, the Fosh there
Second base
by
number
Beam.
24, Mark Sheehan.
This one just a little up in the zone, and you can see that awkward break. It also, not only with a little north-south, but also moving back in towards the right-handed hitting bay.
And with 2 gone, that brings up Mark Teahan now. TJ stands for Theodore Jr., and we speak of the pitcher for the Blue Jays. Oddly enough, Bean told us he hates the name, and yet still named his son Theodore III. Go figure that one.
Trey.
Yeah.
The Trey.
So Theodore Jr. faces Mark Teahan here. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 gone. Man at first for Team Canada. And that's way outside.
And sometimes when it's a little cooler as it is, you see a pitcher, and especially with a Foch pitch like Beam features, have a little trouble gripping that ball. And that particular occasion with that breaking ball missing, obviously a little slip in the grip.
Hard hit, but right at Johnny Mack. He practically walks it to the bag. They get the force, and that's it for Team Canada. They get a base hit, nothing more, and we head for the bottom of the 5th.
The Government of Canada has introduced a wide range of tax cuts to benefit people and families from all walks of life. Lower taxes are part of Canada's Economic Action Plan, and there are tax savings for you. All you have to do is reach out and claim them. Find out what you're entitled to claim and how to file your tax return online at canada.gc.ca/taxinfo. You've earned it. Claim it. A message from the Government of Canada.
I have a full day. I can only give you 5 minutes.
Crest White Strips Daily Multicare is the only 5-minute whitening strip that brightens your smile with just 5 minutes once a day.
Fit whitening into my life? I can do that.
With Crest White Strips Daily Multicare.
Keep the good times going, starring Bud Light.
Hey, Bud Light, do something. We can't stand it anymore.
Poor guy. He's just a little lonely. Let's party.
The easy drinking taste of Bud Light.
Keep the good times going.
Putting money in your pocket shouldn't be so hard, especially when it's yours to begin with, like your tax refund. H&R Block's expertise and new tax law changes could mean more money back than you think. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today.
Here in Dunedin, we head for the bottom of the 5th inning, a tie ball game, 3-3. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino, and there's a friendly face right there. Hello, Cito Gaston.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing well. What did you think of both of your starting pitchers today, Richmond and Maroth?
They both pitched well. I mean, you know, it's a little chilly out here today, but overall they pitched good. I don't know. I know the people back in Toronto don't even want to hear that, but but they both did a good job.
Now, Cito, this is an interesting scenario in that you have 66 players in camp here and really nowhere for anyone to go until the minor league camp opens on the 8th of March. How have you been able to deal with that?
Well, you know what, we've had B games. We've been able to certainly get everybody in there and get some playing time. I'm really happy about that. And, you know, we just had to deal with it. I mean, we do send some guys back over to the minor league camps to make sure they get some batting practice in. Because we kind of limited here with Phils, but otherwise it's been going pretty good for us. It's worked out real well. Play guys every other day if I can, and you know, until we cut down and have a few less players in camp.
Jason Lane is 1 for 2 with an RBI today. Has he impressed you in some short spring games?
He's played great. I mean, the coaches, all of us, are very impressed with his swing. This kid, you know, it's just a matter of him getting some more at bats.
There's the throw from Pete Orr. And it's dug out beautifully by Joey Votto, who took over first base from Justin Morneau. What a play there by Votto.
And just seconds before, it was Pete Orr who misread, because of the wind, a foul ball. And this one comes right at him, and he has to get rid of it in a hurry. Does so, and a nice scoop there by Votto at first.
And you know, I know Jason Lane is not a kid, but you know, to me, they all kids.
That's true, including the one at the plate right now, Scott Campbell.
That's true.
With so many players in camp, Cito, is it tough? You obviously know the regulars, the Vernon Wells and the Alex Rioses of the world. Is it tough to find the time to get a good look at some of the kids who might be playing or wearing the big league uniform someday?
Well, you know what? I think the toughest thing for me right now is getting to know these kids. And as you said, I know the Vernon Wells and certainly the Rios and guys like that. But to watch some of these kids play like this kid right here, Scott Campbell, he's done a great job here in spring training for us. He just continues to hit all the time. And you know, when I put the extra guys in there to play for the regulars, these guys have picked it up, played well.
And Campbell's looking good now with a couple of base hits. Cito, we really appreciate your time.
Well, hey, anytime, guys.
Thanks,
Have a good
Cito.
day. Okay.
You go warm up.
Thank you.
That's Cito Gaston, manager of the Blue Jays. Always friendly, always approachable, and a wealth of information.
And calm, a real calming influence. Players really like to play for him. Most of his starters know that when they come to the ballpark, where they're going to hit, where they're going to play every day. And when it's an occasion, day game after a night game or a possible Sunday game, he'll let the players know who are going to play that day and say, hey, we're going to give you a day off here, or what we're going to do is insert you into the lineup here. And players appreciate that.
A chopper to third, taken by Orr. He looks to second, goes to first, gets Lane, and there's two gone. It was noticeable last year, Sam, that when Gaston took over as manager in the middle of June, you caught him sitting on the bench beside Adam Lind, and later on in the year beside Travis Snyder and some of these young players. And as we know, before he managed the Blue Jays the first time, he was an accomplished hitting coach. He knows so much about hitting. He did what he could to impart his wisdom on some of these young kids, and I think it paid off for them.
And he did. And part of that, Jamie, is when you look at Gene Tennis selected to be the hitting coach for Cito, he is not a guy who thinks that his manager is going over his back. The two have worked together before. He knows that Cito has just as much to offer on the hitting front. Where Cito's expertise is when it comes to offense, pitch selection and approach. An absolute genius at figure out, A, if pitches are tipping, they're tipping their pitches, and B, he has a real good feel that when a guy gets up there, what a pitcher wants to do to each and every one of his guys. And so Adam Lind, who doesn't have that experience, draws on Cito Gaston's multiple years as a player, draws on his multiple years as a hitting coach, draws on his multiple years as a manager, and then couple that with the mechanical teachings of Gene Tennis, whom you just saw, and now you have a pretty good recipe for success as a young player to go out there and be able to hit.
Here in the fifth inning, Michael Barrett faces Chris Begg, with the potential go-ahead run standing at second in Scott Campbell. Tied at 3. And in the bottom of the fifth inning, Barrett taking his swings and does so there on a pitch outside by Begg, so it's 2-2.
Good selection there by Carlin. They realized Barrett was going to chase just a little bit, so they extend the zone a little more east-west and move it away from the big, powerful right-handed hitter and get him to chase.
Barrett sharing words with Luke Carlin behind the plate, at one time both teammates last year in San Diego. So Begg readies for the 2-2, and here it comes. And boy, Barrett loses the bat and the battle. He's gone on strikes, leaves a man at second, and ends the fifth inning here in Dunedin, Florida, where it's Team Canada 3 and the Blue Jays 3.
Introducing a sweet and simple way to get 100% naturally sourced psyllium fiber. New sugar-free Metamucil pink lemonade flavor. A taste so irresistible, it makes it easy to get the fiber you want. New Metamucil pink lemonade.
Buying your first home can come with a lot of unexpected costs. Did you budget for a home inspector? Dad doesn't count. And you'll need to pay for better legal advice than your friend Tiffany's. How do you know how much a house really costs? BMO First Home Essentials is a complete first-time buyer's guide that helps you plan the biggest purchase of your life with confidence. This step-by-step guide includes helpful checklists and an online planning tool that covers everything from figuring out what you can afford to budgeting closing costs in detail. And the Home Buyers Hotline is there when you need it. Plus, when you get a BMO mortgage with a 5-year fixed-rate closed term, you'll receive free banking for 5 years. Also, get up to $1,000 cash back. It could come in handy for renovations. BMO First Home Essentials makes buying your first home make sense. Only $24.95 plus applicable taxes. Refunded when you get a BMO mortgage. Call 1-866-567-3062 to order.
Putting money in your pocket shouldn't be so hard, especially when it's yours to begin with, like your tax refund. H&R Block's expertise and new tax law changes could mean more money back than you think. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today.
Well, fans, don't forget the first round at Rogers Centre begins on Saturday as Team Canada takes on Team USA beginning at 2 Eastern Time. Tickets are still available. They've been selling quite well, in fact. It should be an electric environment for the opening game. Call the box office at 416-341-1234 for tickets. You'll see Russ Martin there. He's got some time free, so he's making sure some of the Canadian fans here are accommodated with an autograph.
I think everyone's been looking forward to this event. Staggered at 3 years from the original, and it will run every 4 years from here on out. We get a look at the new pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. Bill Murphy comes in, left-hander who pitched in Syracuse last year as a starter, and then towards the end of the year, because of some inconsistencies, was moved into a short relief role and found some success in that situation.
And Murphy faces a pinch hitter. Batting for Matt Stairs, the veteran Stubby Clapp. There are all kinds of defensive changes for the Blue Jays in this inning, and we'll deal with them gradually as you look at the veteran Clapp, who really is Captain Canada when it comes to baseball. He is to baseball in our country what Ryan Smith is to hockey, really.
Yeah, there's no question he's represented Canada at every level here in the Classic, at the Olympics, in the junior program, World Cups, Pan Am Games. He's everything. He's everything Canadian baseball.
And he's not even playing competitive baseball anymore.
Coaching.
He's coaching. He had a job last year in the Astros organization. But it wouldn't be right to play a major international tournament and not have Stubby Clapp wearing the red and white.
One thing you'll never,
Bill Murphy.
Sorry, one thing you'll never be able to replace Jamie's experience, and that's what Clapp brings. Trying to buy himself a walk there, but Murphy
now batting designated hitter
able to
number
get him.
47, Corey Koski.
Murphy takes over for Beam and will face the left-handed hitting Corey Koski.
Murphy features fastball, curveball, changeup. He'll cut the ball on occasion as well. And so many lefties the Blue Jays have in the organization now, but this guy's made a pretty good case for himself to this point early in the proceedings here in spring training.
He works quickly too.
I love that. I love when a pitcher works quickly. I mean, it keeps the defense on its toes, and it exudes confidence to the hitter in that it shows that the pitcher has a game plan. He knows exactly how he wants to execute that game plan, and he goes right after and trying to do so.
Two balls and a strike on the DH Koski. He looks at a pitch away, 3-1. New catcher for the Blue Jays is Brian Girolamo, one of the good young prospects in this system. 3-1 pitch, catches the corner, now 3-2.
Really like the way Girolamo has worked on his defensive game, and slowly the bat is starting to come around now to match the skills exhibited behind the plate. Those two things intact, you have the makings of a good catcher for a long time.
So many people in the organization talk about JP Arancibia being the catcher of the future in Toronto. Others will say that Girolamo defensively is ready right now to play in the big leagues. As a walk is issued to Corey Koski. So Bill Murphy comes on in relief, gets the strikeout of Clapp, but walks Koski, and now he will face Peter Orr.
When discussing Girolamo and Arancibia, it's two guys that when you have Michael Barrett, you have Rod Barajas around, those are guys that if they don't play, they're not going to rot on the bench. When you have young players such as Girolamo, such as Arancibia, those guys need to get at bats. They need to get experience behind the plate, working with pitching staffs, learning how to call games, taking advantage of the instruction given to you at the minor league level. So it just doesn't make sense right now for the Blue Jays to bring one of those guys up, knowing that Barajas is going to get a lion's share of the starts, and especially when you have a guy like Barrett with that much experience playing behind Barajas. Now, it's a great luxury to have that in an injury situation. You need to bring one of those guys up. You mentioned before, Chavez also a part of that, a part of that mix.
To center field. And there's Wayne Leiden coming down with the ball. He takes over for Jason Lane.
Pretty much wholesale changes on the part of the Blue Jays.
Shortstop, number 13, Chris Barnwell.
And see, this is where it becomes difficult for the broadcasters, is to identify all the high numbers that are coming into the ball game. It's spring training for us too.
And then you always have those odd guys that called up from the minor leagues, and you have to make sure you have their numbers right and who they are and what they look like. But 66 guys, this is a rather large camp, and I don't think it's been this big since probably around 2001.
Leadoff man Chris Barnwell up again for Team Canada, his 4th plate appearance. He's walked a couple of times and flied out once. Tied at 3 here in Dunedin.
Go back to the 2001 draft when Barnwell was selected in the 25th round. And at that time, it was Canadians that were really just starting to get integrated into the draft, where teams really started to pay attention to Canadian baseball players.
Hard hit, and it sails over the head of Brad Emus into center field. A sharp base hit for Chris Barnwell. He put a little mustard on that one. And Team Canada has runners at first and second.
Pretty productive day so far for Barnwell as he reaches base for the 3rd time in this game. Little single, sliced into right center field. Not trying to do too much with this pitch off the lefty. It's a low and away pitch, and that's exactly where Barnwell takes it. Takes it the other way. Good job there by Barnwell.
So you've got Barnwell at first, Koski at second. And getting his first shot at the plate today, Luke Carlin. We finished the year last year with San Diego. Carlin was released by the Padres and now finds himself vying for a job with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Hit just 149 in his 36 games last year, and finding it a struggle to maintain that type of consistency needed at the big league level. And I think we've seen some pretty good pieces from Carlin behind the plate. His ability to handle Chris Begg to this point, and now having to work on his offensive game in order to try and win a job with the Diamondbacks.
Left-hander Bill Murphy sets. Here's the 2-1. And it's smacked to center field. Leiden on the run. Lowen over there as well, a diving attempt, but he comes up a little short as Carlin brings in a pair, and Team Canada regains the lead on a 2-run double by Luke Carlin.
And some of the Snowbirds in attendance here in Dunedin Stadium appreciating the efforts of one Luke Carlin. And again, with that wind blowing out to right, as soon as that ball was put up in the air, Lydon gets on his horse, and you knew by how fast he was running that it was going to be a challenge for him to catch up to this thing. I think Carlin knew that. He got a pretty good piece of it, took off out of the gate, able to bring in 2 to increase Canada's lead over the Blue Jays by a score of 5-3. Nice effort by Lydon, but it was too far out of his reach.
Strike 1 to Joey Votto. Murphy was originally drafted in the 3rd round by Oakland in '02, but he's been traded a few times before finally getting to the major leagues with Arizona 2 years ago. And Dane Johnson was telling us the other day, really found his groove coming out of the bullpen with Syracuse last year.
Yeah, he started there for some time, but just inconsistent in that role. And
up the middle it goes. McDonald picks it up behind the bag. And a bouncer to first, but grabbed by Ruiz, so Votto is gone. But Canada scores 2 in the 6th and leads 5-3.
You're the sugar, I'm the spice. Yeah, we fit real nice. You're the singer, I'm the song. A-side, B-side, we get along. Everyone keeps trying, but they won't tear us apart. Yeah, well, they all know that you got me from the start. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I got a feeling that will last all day. From the morning to
Gillette, the people who know men best. Gillette High Performance Shampoo, engineered with charged cleansers that attract dirt and oil and power them away for a charged clean that lasts all day. Gillette High Performance Shampoo. Take charge of your hair.
Find your source. Find your source.
Vanilla Tango.
New Source Vanilla Tango. 2 delicious flavors in a single cup.
Find your source. Do your thing. Do what you wanna do now.
Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Now do your thing for less. Save 15%. Book now.
Welcome back to Dunedin Stadium. We are with Casey Janssen, who will make his first appearance of the spring tomorrow. And lucky you get to face Team USA, not a bunch of scrubs.
Right. No, I'm excited for tomorrow. Long time coming, but yeah, whoever it is, I'm excited to pitch. And you know, Team USA. I mean, might as well start with the best.
Now you've had a chance to throw some bullpens here. Where is your arm strength at? Where are you as far as velocity goes?
As far as how I feel great. You know, I haven't been on a radar gun yet, but everything feels good. My arm feels live, and ready to see what happens.
Now, there's been talk of you being a starter. There's talk of you being a long reliever. I know last spring you said you don't really care. You're still in that situation where as long as you're back out pitching, you really don't care where you're at.
Yeah, you know, you can't control, you know, the things, and whatever happens, you know, hopefully it's in the best interest of the team and me as well. And hopefully I just run with whatever they give me.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very much.
There's Casey Janssen, Toronto Blue Jays. He'll make his first appearance of the spring here tomorrow.
And Barry, it was about a year ago from now that we spoke with a shattered Casey Janssen when he learned that he would miss the entire year and have to undergo shoulder surgery. So it is great to see Casey Janssen back in pitching for the Blue Jays. And you want to talk about a future star in the big leagues? This man is a giant, a first-round pick 2 years ago by the Seattle Mariners, Philippe Aumont. And this young man can throw some gas.
He can really bring it. Features a curveball, slider as well, and a changeup that's really a work in progress. That if at the minor league level he can ever get that figured out, he is going to be really tough to deal with, because you talk about velocity in the low to mid 90s, and then you're able to mix in a changeup to play off that. It's usually pretty good recipe success for a pitcher.
He's a little wild here against Randy Ruiz. 3 balls and no strikes. Aumont standing 6'7", weighs 250 pounds. taken 11th overall by the Mariners in 2007. So he's the 3rd highest Canadian ever drafted in the big leagues, behind the 2 picks in 02 when the Orioles took Adam Loewen, who just happens to be coming to the plate, 4th overall. And then Jeff Francis went 2 picks later to the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, and in that first plate appearance there for Ruiz, it looks like to me is just having a little trouble with his release point, maybe hanging on to it a little too long and really dragging that ball away from a right-hander. And in this situation, we'll see if he does it to a left-hander where that ball would really come inside to Loewen.
Strike 1 to Loewen. Brian Doperik has taken over as a pinch runner at first base for Ruiz. Loewen today is 1 for 2. He doubled in a run in the 4th inning. Trying to do what Rick Ankiel successfully did with the St. Louis Cardinals. Go from being a major league pitcher to a major league position player.
And people around the Blue Jays organization have loved the way in which he has handled himself. They feel that he's a good person, and they're going to give him a good 2-year look here to try and get things turned around. It's up to Loewen to try and accelerate that.
Oh, look out.
Oh, my.
Luckily, nobody was in the seat that ball hit.
I might have dented the seat, though.
Sam, you talked earlier about the pitching restrictions in the WBC, and some of the restrictions go beyond what the WBC says, and they boil right down to team restrictions. The Mariners have straight up asked Greg Hamilton and Team Canada not to pitch Omont more than an inning, as he gets the punch out of Adam Loewen. A beautiful breaking ball there. My goodness, there was incredible movement on that pitch.
That was pretty filthy, and Loewen gets his first look at Omont and probably says that's about enough of that.
Oh.
Good breaking ball. Loewen expecting a little something different. Freezes him up, and Omont's got his first strikeout of the day.
Slash foul by Buckcoats. So you will not see Omont pitch past the 6th. And that is at the request of the Mariners.
And there was some arm concerns with Omont dating back to last year and going into camp this year. And Seattle wants to protect what is going to be a very big investment for its club. Some of the issues we saw in the first plate appearance against Ruiz were just Omont hanging on to that ball a little too much, dragging it across his body and forcing it way inside to a left-handed hitter such as Coates.
Fly ball into left. Brett Laurie is there to make the grab. Well, coming up on Wednesday, April the 22nd, you can meet your favorite Blue Jays, collect some autographs, purchase your tickets for $45 by calling the Blue Jays office or logging on to bluejays.com for more information. It's a Meet the Jays session on Wednesday, April the 22nd. Two gone for John McDonald, the shortstop, 0 for 2. Philippe Beaumont in relief of Chris Begg. Begg went 2 innings and gave up a run on 3 hits. There's a liner to right field, dropping in front of the right fielder. And off to third is Adam Loewen. So a base hit for John McDonald. I looked out to right and saw someone that wasn't quite as portly as Matt Stairs and realized it's Mark Teahan.
Well, TNK.
That's a spring game for you.
Couple innings at third, one at second, now moves out to right field. And this is kind of tailor-made for John McDonald. We talked about Omont having trouble finding that release. Inside to a right-hander, away, or inside to a lefty, away to a right-hander, and McDonald's able to go with that pitch, drive it into right field.
Angel Sanchez, the pinch runner at first. Ryan Patterson, the batter for the Blue Jays. Omon with the 0-1 outside. It's now 1-1.
Playing in Double-A last year, Patterson able to pick up 75 hits. The home run number up there, same too with the RBI number at 53.
Here's a high chopper. Chris Bowman fields it over to first, and Patterson is gone for out number 3. 2 men are left, 6 innings complete. Canada 5, the Blue Jays 3.
A Connected update.
Hope you're enjoying the spring ball. Brad Fay in the Connected Studios preparing for the 6 o'clock edition. Obviously an eye on the NHL as we're just 24 hours from trade deadline day. The Rangers made it official today, claiming Sean Avery off re-entry waivers, finally ending months of speculation. He could play in the Rangers' next game, which is Thursday against the Islanders. Interesting, nobody else wanted him. Meanwhile, some big-name players have been placed on waivers today. Gary Roberts, Brendan Morrison, Miro Shatan, Marty Gerber, all hoping a team will pick them up in their contracts prior to Wednesday's trade deadline. At Sportsnet, the place to be for wall-to-wall trade deadline coverage. The boys are already asleep. They're getting up at 5 on the air at 8 Eastern with live streaming also at sportsnet.ca.
Putting money in your pocket shouldn't be so hard, especially when it's yours to begin with, like your tax refund. H&R Block's expertise and new tax law changes could mean more money back than you think. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today.
Introducing a sweet and simple way to get 100% naturally sourced psyllium fiber. New sugar-free Metamucil pink lemonade flavor. A taste so irresistible, it makes it easy to get the fiber you want. New Metamucil pink lemonade.
If you've got pain, why haven't you got the patch?
The Icy Hot Patches. Targeted no-mess temporary relief for backs, shoulders, and arthritis pain. Gets icy to dull pain, hot to relax it away. Stop pain right at the source. Icy Hot Patches.
Pain's no match for the Icy Hot Patch.
We welcome you back to Dunedin, Florida. A 5-3 Canada lead, and that should please the manager, Ernie Witt, who joins us now. Great to see you, Ernie.
What do you say, guys?
Well, we're doing well. We're nice and warm up here in the broadcast booth, and we enjoyed watching Scott Richmond over 2 2/3. What did you think of his outing today?
It was good. I thought he threw some strikes. He fell behind a little bit, but he threw strikes and ended up throwing 45 pitches, and we wanted right about that amount. That's why we took him out. If regular game, we would have left him in.
Now, managing this team provides its challenges other than managing a major league game where you have to be aware of pitch counts. How much do you lean on Paul Quantrill and Denny Boucher and Greg Hamilton to get you through that stuff?
Quite a bit, because I don't have a counter. So, I'm constantly conferring with them on how many pitches that these guys have thrown and make sure that our bullpen is ready so that we don't go over that amount.
Ernie, if you were still playing, would you be a little nervous stepping in against Philippe Aumont?
That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I wish we had full reins with him, but our hands are handcuffed a little bit with Philippe. But it's a good outing for him today, and he'll be ready for us when we open up on Saturday.
Well, we're taking a look now at Brett Laurie getting his first at bat against left-hander Bill Murphy as Ernie Witt joins us now, and there's the pitch outside, catches a corner for a strikeout. But Ernie, as you well know, this young man Laurie is going to be one heck of a player.
Oh, he's going to be a real good player. I mean, here's a kid that's never even really played in professional ball right now. He's right out of high school, and we've got him in this situation, and we're just taking a look at him, and he's got a great future ahead of him.
Well, Ernie, you look at the lineup composition. Barnwell's probably a guy you haven't had a chance to see much of, but you have to be impressed with his ability to get on base, pick up a base hit in this game. And How important is it to have a good leadoff hitter when it comes to this event?
It was good. It's basically, you know, we were looking between Barnwell and Peter Orr, and they both swung the bat well today. But you know, I looked at Barney's his on-base percentage is really good, so I said let's try him. And again, that's, I mean, the next couple of days we're going to experiment with our lineup, and you know, we're going to try to put the best guys out on the field.
Ernie, what do you think will be the most difficult aspect about managing this team?
I think the pitching aspect, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. I mean, you know, we have a lot of quality arms, but they're inexperienced arms, and those are the guys that we have to try to get them through. You know, you look at our lineup, it's a pretty good lineup. The quality arms that we have, but they've never been tested on a big stage that we're going to have in Toronto. So that, I think that's going to be our biggest challenge.
Well, listen, Ernie, we thank you for your time, and if we haven't said it already, congratulations on your upcoming induction to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame.
Pretty humbled about that. That's great. Thank you.
That's Ernie Witt, who joins us from the dugout as we watch Mark Teahan swing the bat for Team Canada. Bill Murphy, the left-hander, getting strikeouts of Brett Laurie and Adam Stern while we talked with Ernie.
That's a pretty good accomplishment for a guy who played most of his career in Toronto. Ernie Witt getting into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, managing Team Canada for what is the 7th time throughout his career.
Well, he's certainly glad to have Mark Teahan on this team, who now has played 3 positions in this game. He started out at third base, moved over to second, and we just saw him chasing down a ball in right field. So Teahan continues to play as some of the bench players come in.
He was asked yesterday at a media conference following Canada's workout on what position he'd like to play and which he prefers, and he said third base. That's where he feels most comfortable. That's where he came up through the minor league system with Oakland, drafted as a third baseman. And you know, Alex Gordon comes along, he gets put into that spot, and now he's been bumped over to second.
Brad Emus goes to first, a 1-2-3 7th for Bill Murphy. Still 5-3 Canada. Will return after this.
The Good Times Going, starring Bud Light.
Hey, Bud Light, do something. We can't stand it anymore.
Poor guy. He's just a little lonely. Let's party.
The easy drinking taste of Bud Light.
Keep the good times going.
Gillette, the people who know men best. Gillette High Performance Shampoo, engineered with charged cleansers that attract dirt and oil and power them away for a charged clean that lasts all day. Gillette High Performance Shampoo. Take charge of your hair.
The Government of Canada has introduced a wide range of tax cuts to benefit people and families from all walks of life. Lower taxes are part of Canada's Economic Action Plan, and there are tax savings for you. All you have to do is reach out and claim them. Find out what you're entitled to claim and how to file your tax return online at canada.gc.ca/taxinfo. You've earned it. Claim it. A message from the Government of Canada.
Enterprise rent-a-car for my trip? Looks expensive.
It's not expensive, Mom.
They pick us up? Sounds expensive.
Pickup's free, Mom.
Well, if it's not expensive, why didn't you rent me a bigger car?
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Let's check in again with Barry Davis.
All right, guys, we're with John McDonald. John, I got to ask you, it's cool for Florida standards. So what's it like out there when you're battling the elements you don't expect to see in Florida?
Yeah, we're in Florida. It's sunny out. If it's above 40 degrees, I'm pretty happy down here. It was a real cold winter, so anytime we can get the sun to come out, it's going to be a good day to play baseball.
You know, this Toronto Blue Jays offense really seemed to pick up once Cito came, once Gene Tennis came. Did you personally find that they were able to help you? Because I know you're known specifically for your defense, and your offenses seem to really come around a bit there.
It was definitely a change sometimes, whether good or bad, can help, a lot of people. And with what Cito, how aggressive Cito and Gene both wanted me to be, kind of stopped me from trying to feed the ball everywhere, feed the ball over the second baseman's head and getting the head out a little bit more. And we're still working on it now. So it's the philosophy's definitely changed. Where I like to be more aggressive, especially with my approach and my swing. I want me to be more aggressive.
Well, guys, part of the post-game ritual for these guys is to not only go run a bit, it's also to sign some autographs. And Johnny's got a big crayon here that he wants to sign for us. We'll let you get back to that.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, guys, that's John McDonald.
And Barry, it looks like you're conducting your interviews out on a patio out there in right field.
Exactly. There's just no hot coffee out here, unfortunately.
Try not to work too hard.
Okay.
And there's a great example there of the intimacy of spring training. Nothing more than a fence separating the fans and John McDonald. It's a great chance to come down. If you want to have a personal conversation with your favorite Blue Jay, here is the place to do it.
Yeah, and the players are a little more at ease. They're not under the pressure of what a championship season brings. And so they come out of the game early, they go down, sign a few autographs. You get to the park well before the game starts, and you get to watch them work out and interact with them at that point as well. There's also a couple of activities planned by the Toronto Blue Jays in conjunction with the Dunedin Blue Jays for that to happen and to meet players and to get autographs and to experience some good weather, usually.
Brad Emus is at the plate facing Major League veteran Jesse Crane. A swing and a drive to center field. Adam Stern backs up and makes the catch. So Emus is retired for the first out here in the last of the 7th inning.
Jesse Crane will be looked on by the Baseball Canada staff as the closer. 5-4 record and a 3.59 ERA with Minnesota last year. He's got 2 saves over the course of his career, but is very used to pitching late in games. Almost 63 innings. Probably like to lower that whip into that 120 range a little bit at 137 last year with Minnesota, but nonetheless a very successful career so far for Jesse Crane.
And normally he sets up Joe Nathan in Minnesota. He was looking forward to maybe matching up as a closer against Nathan, who was intending to close some games for the United States. But like so many of them the last week or two, Nathan has pulled out as well.
Yeah, a lot of guys. LaTroy Hawkins coming in his place, and there's just been a lot of the U.S. guys who don't feel they're quite ready, are battling injuries, or a combination of the two, and that has not allowed them to play, to inform USA Baseball that they will not be available to represent the U.S. And if you're a fan of Canada, at times you have to be pretty happy about that.
Not exactly bad news. Well, 2 years ago, the Blue Jays had 2 first-round picks. One was J.P. Arancibia, and the other was a high schooler, out of Aarons. And you see him now getting his swings against Jesse Crane.
Playing with the Lansing Lugnuts last year, able to put up 5 home runs, drive in 42 runs.
Off speed, and that's going to get Aarons looking. He goes down on strikes for out number 2.
Center fielder number 63.
Jesse Crane has a real compact delivery, and here hides the ball fairly well, drops the breaking ball, and catches Aarons looking on a nice curveball. Good tight spin exhibited on the curveball by Crane.
And brings up the center fielder, Wayne Lydon. Drives the ball to left. Laurie comes in. It bounces off the turf and under his glove. Lydon rounds second base. Laurie back to retrieve the ball. And Lydon held at third with a triple.
Well, Jamie, we've touched on Mark Tien with a position change. Brett Laurie was someone who was drafted as a catcher. He is now being tested in left field, but also will get some reps with Milwaukee at second base. Left-handed hitter, hits the ball to left. It tends to slice a little bit. His initial reaction for Laurie was to move back, realizing that ball was to drop in front of him. By the time he got down and dirty, that ball had got past them. So again, pretty tough with the wind blowing out. You have that slice situation, left-handed hitter to left, and for Laurie, that's something that's going to take some time to adjust to.
Well, the Brewers love his bat. They want to get him to the major leagues as quickly as possible, and they figure that having him play second base might be the quickest route. So we'll see how long it takes before Laurie is getting his hacks in the big leagues. Brian Geralman now takes a strike from Jesse Crane. One and one. And the pitch a little off the plate, ball two. Leiden with the triple over at third with two gone. We're in the seventh inning, and Team Canada leads 5-3. The Blue Jays had 2 games yesterday, a split squad. The A team played here in Dunedin. The B team played over in Clearwater, and it's one of the reasons why you're not seeing a lot of the regulars like Scott Rowland or Aaron Hill. Some of the guys that you might see when opening day rolls around have been given the day off here by Cito Gaston.
And Cito knows that with so many guys in camp, you can afford to do that. His goal is to try and play his regulars every other day here until we get closer to the season.
Carlin can't chase him down, so he throws out the batter, and that's out number 3, leaving a man at third for the Blue Jays. 7 innings complete in Dunedin. It's Team Canada 5 and the Blue Jays 3.
A Connected update.
Once again, Brad Fay in the Connected Studios preparing for the 6 o'clock edition as we close in on trade deadline day. An exciting time around here. Not exciting for the Penguins as Sidney Crosby will be on the sidelines again against the Lightning tonight. It will mark the 4th straight game he has missed due to the nagging injury. Trade him. Meanwhile, Sean Avery's been claimed off re-entry waivers by the Rangers. Could debut Thursday against the Islanders. Other big names have been placed on waivers. Brendan Morrison, Gary Roberts, Miro Shatan, Marty Gerber, hoping that the team will pick them up and their contracts, fat ones, prior to Wednesday's trade deadline. Speaking of which, you know, here's a place to be. If the players are watching, why shouldn't you? Tune in beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern. We're on the air all day, live streaming at sportsnet.ca.
Gillette, the people who know men best. Gillette High Performance Shampoo, engineered with charged cleansers that attract dirt and oil and power them away for a charged clean that lasts all day. Gillette High Performance Shampoo. Take charge of your hair.
Enterprise rent-a-car for my trip? Looks expensive.
It's not expensive, Mom.
They pick us up. Sounds expensive.
Pickup's free, Mom.
Well, if it's not expensive, why didn't you rent me a bigger car?
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Back in Dunedin, and the coverage of the National Hockey League continues tonight on Sportsnet with games on Sportsnet East. You'll see the Flames and Senators, the Devils and Leafs at 7:30 on Sportsnet Ontario, and then out west it's the Oilers in Nashville. Minnesota takes on Vancouver. 4 different games on Rogers Sportsnet tonight. Enjoy them. Stubby clap. Faces Rick Bauer as we begin the 8th inning here in a chilly Dunedin. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino and Barry Davis. There's a grounder towards short, picked up by Sanchez, and clap is thrown out.
Stubby taking it old school without the batting gloves. New pitcher for the Blue Jays, Rich Bauer.
Designated hitter, number 47.
He's experienced some big league time with Baltimore, last year with Cleveland. Appearing in just 4 games, opponents hit .370 against them in that ballooned ERA.
Corey Koski fouls it back. He's been on base twice and scored both times. And it is so good to see Koski wearing a baseball uniform again. He spent 1 year with the Blue Jays, signed a 3-year contract, and laces this ball to right field. That's a fair ball into the corner, a base hit for Koski. He turns for second and slides in with a double. So Koski picks up his first hit and receives a nice applause from the crowd.
Well, the former Blue Jay is back to full speed in everything he does now. And for 2.5 years, everything was just cloudy. But Bauer's breaking ball doesn't have the kind of bite on it to get it by Koski. He's able to reach down into that area where lefties love it most, down and in, and rip that into the right field corner for a double.
Sean Bowman now comes up. Bowman now playing third base. And I believe earlier in the game I may have referred to him as Chris, so I apologize to his family and friends watching at home. As Sean Bowman, one of the good prospects in the New York Mets system, stands in against Rick Bauer.
Split time between St. Lucie and A-ball and Double-A in Binghamton. Those split numbers, on base percentage over 3, 290 average.
There's a base hit right field. Goes the other way with that pitch. Koski's waved home. Nobody at home to receive the cutoff, and so here's Koski scoring, and the Blue Jays extend their lead to 6-3.
Now batting shortstop number 13, Chris Barnhart.
He's hitting to serve this ball into right field by Bowman. Team Canada increases its lead to 3 runs.
And a swing and a liner right to second. Back to first, double play. Another run in for Team Canada, though. They lead by 3.
A Connected update.
I'm Brad Fay, still in the Sportsnet studios preparing for the 6 o'clock edition, 24 hours from trade deadline day. In fact, we're inside that now, so it's really heating up. And the Wild have made a preemptive move, signing goalie Nicklas Backstrom to a 4-year, $24 million contract extension, ending all speculation that he would be on the move at tomorrow's trade deadline. Detroit, one of the teams rumored to be interested, they need a goalie. Meanwhile, Sean Avery has been claimed off re-entry waivers by the Rangers, could debut Thursday against the Islanders, while some big-name players have been placed on waivers in advance of the trade deadline. Brendan Morrison, Gary Roberts, Miro Sertan, Marty Gerber, all big contracts and all hope, their teams hope, that someone else will pick them up. Sportsnet's a place to be, wall-to-wall trade deadline coverage. You know it, and streaming live at sportsnet.ca. See you at 6.
We call it a crossover. Whatever you call it, you won't call it boring. The new Flex, only from Ford.
Introducing a sweet and simple way to get 100% naturally sourced psyllium fiber. New sugar-free Metamucil pink lemonade flavor. A taste so irresistible, it makes it easy to get the fiber you want. New Metamucil pink lemonade.
Back here in Dunedin, we're with David Percy. And David, you had a chance to pitch yesterday in a B game. Just talk about how your spring has gone so far, because it's quite an interesting dynamic with so many guys going for the few spots on the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it went pretty well yesterday. You know, getting my feet wet, getting back into spring training, and getting back into baseball. A little bit. I mean, getting into it, rough first inning, then I settled back in and had a nice second inning.
How much did your experience with the Blue Jays last year really help you as far as your mindset and everything coming into camp this year?
It's helped out a lot, giving me the ability to come in and throw every 5th day. That's what I've been looking to do. I mean, I did that last year, and it's nice getting that routine as a starter. And just getting a shot at the rotation is a great opportunity for me, and I hope to take advantage of it.
It's such a nice, healthy competition we seem to have going right now with so many guys going, and I know a lot of people are looking at you as being the number 3 guy. I know you don't want to take anything for granted, but how nice is the competition? Because it seems everybody's on their game right now.
It's great. I mean, we've got a ton of pitchers that are good and they're young, and I mean, Doc's leading the way, and Litch is good, and I mean, we've just got a young staff that's hopefully going to come out and surprise people.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave.
Thanks.
All right, there's Dave Percy. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Barry. Steve Green will come on now to pitch for Team Canada, the 5th pitcher of the day. Starter Scott Richmond went 2 2/3 as they begin exhibition play, getting ready for the weekend WBC. Here's Green, a veteran of professional baseball. Brian Doperick with a high fly ball to right field, and that ball is carrying, and the catch is made at the wall by Mark Teahan.
Sensational grab by Teahan, and this ball just carried. Doperick hit it a mile, and it carried with the wind blowing to right field, and Teahan was really calm back there. Some of the experience of playing right field last year, he parks his rear end up against the fence, jumps up, and comes down with it. A great play there by Teahan, feeling where the fence is and jumping up and getting.
Certainly wind assisted, because off the bat it looked like a pop-up. And the next thing you know, there's Teahan reaching up and pulling it back. So there's the first out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And Aaron Matthews steps in against Green. Matthews hit .296 with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats last year. One of those minor league ballparks that, as much as I've never been there, I am told it's just a tremendous atmosphere. They put about 6,000 fans in the ballpark for every game. 1 ball and 1 strike, and a belt to left field. Brett Laurie back to the wall, and this ball is out of here. A home run for Aaron Matthews.
Well, that's saying something. The wind blowing out to right. This ball goes into the left field waist area behind the wall and left. Matthews got all of it. It looks like a breaking ball. It doesn't break a whole lot from Green. And great extension there on the part of Matthews. He lets it fly. Just like that, that lead is cut to 2.
These are some minor league hitters, to be certain, but a lot of them with some pop in their bats, including Chip Cannon, who steps in against Steve Green. Matthews, before him, hits the first home run of the ball game. Cuts the lead to 2 now for Team Canada. And here's Chip Cannon up at the plate.
Well, Green's one of those pitchers who has a good arm, but he has battled inconsistency throughout his minor league career. He got a little taste with the Angels back in 2001 and hasn't been able to make it to the big leagues since that time. And watching him pitch in the WBC, had a 1-0 record in that event, and I really loved his arm. But in talking to some people around baseball, he just hasn't been able to do it on a consistent basis. And there are times when he allows his emotions to run out of check. And when those two things are combined, it's awfully tough to maintain a job at the big league level. Take you back to that ball hit by Doperick, and that ball hits the fence and it's trapped by Teahan.
Great work.
Great work by the camera crew, and a nice sell job there by Teahan, because he came down with it, said, yeah, just another catch. But when you have the opening of the glove facing towards the fence, it's pretty tough to catch that ball. So on first look, I said, boy, that looked weird, but he sold it to me as well.
I totally bought it.
Not escaping the work of our camera crew.
Cannon draws the walk.
Not a home run. You see the yellow tubing
yes,
at the top of the fence above the wooden fence. So you have the mesh fence on top of the wooden fence, and then that yellow tubing that runs throughout the entire outfield here at Dunedin Stadium to give the umpires a little hand in determining what is a home run and what is not. Of course, the ball hit by Matthews, that was a no-doubter. That was beyond everything.
And that one is way beyond Carlin. Cannon off to second, and that ball is headed into left field as far as Carlin's concerned.
Well, when it came to Carlin, he wanted to throw that ball, but thought better of it. He was too late in his motion.
He tried to eat it.
Ended up over it short. Pitch by Green sails over everybody. Sanchez looks on, and as he tries to realize that, hey, that's not a good idea to throw that ball, with that arm action as quick as it was, Carlin couldn't hang on to it. And good thing somebody there over at third and Bowman to pick that ball up.
And now if you're Sanchez, you might be a little uneasy in that box. But he drives the ball to right field. Tien fields the ball, and it comes. And it's a good thing that Cannon decided not to challenge. But Sanchez picks up the base hit, and the Blue Jays have something going here in the 8th inning.
Your next batter, left fielder number 71, Ryan.
Mark Tien out in right field with the toss. And at this juncture of spring training, that's a ball that you really want to hit your cutoff man. You'd like to see it a little lower from Tien so as not to allow Sanchez to advance to second base. But no harm done as Carlin read the play, stepped out in front of the plate to take that opportunity for Sanchez to go to second away.
Wave and a miss from the batter Ryan Patterson. And on the corners here for the Blue Jays, one gone in the 8th inning, and Toronto trails by 2.
Well, Jamie, we heard from Ernie Witt saying that, hey, we like our pitching staff. It's young, it's inexperienced, it's not Francis, it's not Harden, it's not Dempster, it's not Bedard, but hey, we wonder how these guys are going to react on a stage as large as the World Baseball Classic will provide. I mean, 40,000 tickets already sold or close to that at the Rogers Center. Game 1 against the U.S. Saturday, 2 o'clock start. And you look at Steve Green, and he's one of those guys that if you're Ernie Witt, you're saying, hey, this is a guy we need in our bullpen to be a calming influence. He's had experience with the World Baseball Classic before. He's represented Canada, a ton of minor league experience at the AAA level. We need this guy to be a settling influence for us, and hasn't had quite the outing he expected to this point. And he'll have to work on that, and we'll see what he takes into the World Baseball Classic beginning Saturday.
This to second, picked up by Clapp, shuffle to second, back to first, and a double play to get Team Canada out of the 8th inning. The Jays add a run on the home run by Aaron Matthews and cut the lead to 6-4, and that's where it is as we head for the 9th inning after this short break.
So, will you marry me?
Yes!
I want you to stand up there with me.
Of course I'll be your best man. I feel like he has some issues.
How about cleaning up after your dog?
I know. You guys just haven't spent any time together.
Ow! God!
You okay, man?
I'm sorry! This is my nightmare! We've spent some time together.
I love you, man.
Hey, Hulk! Stop calling me Hulk. Hulk! What's going on?
He's fighting Lou Ferrigno.
He's so strong!
In theaters March 20th.
Buying your first home can come with a lot of unexpected costs. Did you budget for a home inspector? Dad doesn't count. And you'll need to pay for better legal advice than your friend Tiffany's. How do you know how much a house really costs? BMO First Home Essentials is a complete first-time buyer's guide that helps you plan the biggest purchase of your life with confidence. This step-by-step guide includes helpful checklists and an online planning tool that covers everything from figuring out what you can afford to budgeting closing costs in detail. And the Home Buyers Hotline is there when you need it. Plus, when you get a BMO mortgage with a 5-year fixed-rate closed term, you'll receive free banking for 5 years. Also, get up to $1,000 cash back. It could come in handy for renovations. BMO First Home Essentials makes buying your first home make sense. Only $24.95 plus applicable taxes. Refunded when you get a BMO mortgage. Call 1-866-567-3062 to order.
Bright and early tomorrow morning, the panel will be ready to go for a full day of coverage. It's the trade deadline in the National Hockey League, and you will hear it first beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, coast to coast on Rogers Sportsnet. It seems that show starts earlier and earlier as the years go on. I'm figuring 20 years from now they'll be starting to go to air at, at midnight the night before, just in case there's a deal overnight.
Unless you're Kiprios, then you got the BlackBerry probably beside the bed underneath the pillow when he goes to bed.
Sleeping in the den. Yeah.
Leading off the top of the ninth
Well,
inning for Team
here in
Canada.
Dunedin, I can assure you it's cool, but some have chosen to dress as lightly as possible. Those sitting in the sun, that's on the third base side. Scott Carson tells me we've managed to bump it up a degree. It's now 50 degrees as opposed to 49. Is
that meteorologist Scott Carson?
Statistician, meteorologist, baseball savant. I mean, he's pretty well everything, and we're glad to have him back in the booth this year. Jamie Campbell with you. Sam Cosentino is here. Barry Davis is on the patio. Carlin with a grounder to short, and he is thrown out. A reminder that the opening game of the WBC featuring Canada is available on Sportsnet beginning at 2 Eastern Time. They will take on the Americans. If you can't catch it on the tube, you'll be able to catch it on the radio, on the Fan Radio Network with Mike Wilner and Paul Spoljaric. Robert Ray on the hill now for the Blue Jays, a right-hander out of Lufkin, Texas. He's facing Joey Votto. Ray was chosen by the Blue Jays out of Texas A&M in the 7th round of the 2005 draft.
Progressing as most minor leaguers do, with some time split last year at 2 levels of the Blue Jays minor league system.
Votto 0 for 4 today. 1-1 pitch en route from Ray. Ray split last year with the Dunedin Blue Jays, who play out of this very park in the Florida State League, and the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. In fact, he put up some pretty good numbers in Double-A. He went 8-6 with a 3.18 ERA in 16 starts. Gets a strike on Votto, and I'll be honest with you, Sam, when he walked by me in the Blue Jay clubhouse, I thought he was A.J. Burnett.
Yeah, he does have that look about him, that's for sure. Even stands on the mound like Burnett. Those mannerisms in taking the ball into his glove.
Ball 4, so Votto draws a walk. He's on base for the first time.
Left fielder number 5.
I mentioned earlier that only 2 Canadians have ever won the MVP. Morneau in the American League in 2006, and Team Canada's hitting coach, Larry Walker, who had that unbelievable year for the Colorado Rockies in 1997. Here's Laurie to third. And he beats it out at first.
Good hustle by Laurie to get down the line, and for Larry Walker, the top home run getter. Born in Canada, 383, and the rest of them participating for Team Canada. 2nd, 4th, and 5th. Stairs, 254. Bay will slowly make his way up that list, and Justin Morneau, very prodigious home run hitter as well.
That's great. 10 years from now, we might be talking about Brett Laurie being part of that crew. He stands at first base as Adam Stern swings the bat for Robert Ray. Little chopper, and that's a foul ball. The hero of that game against the United States 3 years ago, in which Canada held on and won 8-6. Had an inside the park home run and made a sterling catch in center field off what Chase Utley thought was a home run. Utley had thrown up his hands figuring the ball was gone, and there's Stern deep in center field, back against the wall, coming down with the baseball. And Canada held on for an 8-6 win. It was a marvelous afternoon in Phoenix.
Got a chance to spend some time with the president of Baseball Canada, Ray Carter, Jim Baba, Greg Hamilton, the director for Baseball Canada, right after that game, and those guys were ecstatic. I mean, it was emotional for them. I mean, that was a huge win for this country to come from as far as it has come in producing major league players, and enough to pick up that win. And what a win it was. I was in attendance for that game, as you were, Jamie, and watched it from the stands from a fan's perspective, and it was rather enjoyable and highly entertaining.
And Stern, who was the starting center fielder, was one of the regulars back then, and like Corey Koski, he now 3 years later has to accept a reduced role.
And he had no issues with it. We spoke to him yesterday after Team Canada's workout, and he said, hey, I'm just happy to represent my country. I knew coming into this event that I would be a secondary type player, but he can still be very impactful in that role as a guy to come off the bench late, either to pinch run or play defense. And so it's not like you won't see this guy. He'll get some time. It's just a matter of when and where.
There's a strikeout as Rob Ray gets the job done against Adam Stern and ends the top of the ninth. To the bottom half we go after this, with Canada up by 2.
If you've got pain, why haven't you got the patch?
The Icy Hot Patches. Targeted no-mess temporary relief for backs, shoulders, and arthritis pain. Gets icy to dull pain, hot to relax it away. Stop pain right at the source. Icy Hot Patches.
Pain's no match for the Icy Hot Patch.
In your fight against plaque that can cause gingivitis, Oral-B Vitality is on your side. Its oscillating, rotating cleaning action removes up to 2 times more plaque to help stop gingivitis before it starts. The affordable, rechargeable Oral-B Vitality.
I had a mental image of who I was supposed to meet, the perfect guy. I just didn't know where he was.
We first talked on the phone 6.5 hours right into the early morning. We did that for some time, then we met.
And we just saw each other and instant connection, snap. Joshua is a geeky chemist, but he is artistic, spontaneous.
One night we tackled a big
giant
6-foot canvas together. She took half and I took the other half.
It came out. It was
it's
amazing.
Everything we do together is fun. Building a store together was a blast.
We're dancing at 5 in the morning with drywall dust all over us and mud and splatter paint.
There's this part of my life now that felt like she should have been there the whole time. And now it doesn't matter about the past. She's here now, so we're gonna hit it full force.
See how it feels to be matched based on compatibility. Log on and review your matches for free. eharmony.ca.
Let's take you back, shall we, to Phoenix 3 years ago. Utley throws his hands up with a couple of base runners on, but oh, here's Adam Stern and a very happy Scott Matheson. Steve Green comes on, gets the ground ball and the save as the Canadians upset the Americans. And they will meet again this coming Saturday at 2 Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. We'll be there to bring it to you. Jamie Campbell and Sam Cosentino with Canada against the United States on Saturday from Rogers Center.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm not quite certain what to expect. I'm sure there'll be some American fans that come north of the border, as they like to do with the dollar being the way it is. They get a little bit of a break there. Surely there'll be a ton of Canadian fans. The flags will be out in full force. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, the U.S., despite all the players that seem to be dropping out in recent times, B.J. Ryan, as you touched on earlier, among them, still has a very strong team. And here is Barnwell at short. He throws out Emus for the first out of this half of the ninth inning. It looks as if Jake Peavy will start that game for the United States as David Davidson comes on in relief for Team Canada.
It's funny. It seems to me as if Davy Johnson had announced that, and then I read in the paper this morning and said, well, we'll see who Canada throws and then we'll decide who we're going to throw. But by all accounts, it seems that Peavy will start, and I know Team Canada has been throwing around its names, and probably one of the tougher decisions of the tournament, who to start in that game, based solely on the dynamic of the tournament and the double knockout format. But most of us are expecting Mike Johnson to get that start.
Kevin Aarons comes back to the plate. He struck out in the 7th inning. Davidson's just 24 years of age and spent last year in Double-A with the Pirates organization, going 4-2. A chopper to third. Backs up Bowman. He makes the long throw and gets the out.
And that's exactly why the Mets are so high on Bowman's infield play. A tough play there. He has to go all the way back behind the bag, plant that right foot and make a good throw across. Backhand, you see that plant to the right foot, little crow hop there, and he gets it over there without a hop to Joey Votto.
Two gone now, and Wayne Leiden up. Davidson with an opportunity here to close out the Blue Jays in this exhibition game. Tomorrow, Team Canada takes on the Phillies over in Clearwater, while Team USA comes here. And as we heard from Casey Janssen earlier, he'll get the start for Toronto.
Ted Lilly will get the ball for the U.S. So there'll be some fans who remember Lilly's days as a Blue Jay, and I'm sure he'll receive a nice round of applause.
2-0 on Leiden, who tripled in the 7th inning off Jesse Crane. Takes a strike, 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know, Jamie, it was a tough decision for Davidson. He's on the precipice of doing some good things and possibly getting a shot to crack that pitching staff with Pittsburgh. And as much as he wanted to represent his country, he's also thinking about his career long term. And he talked it over with management in Pittsburgh. Greg Hamilton was able to deal with the situation as well. And you know, just from some early looks, he's going to be a valuable addition to this staff for Team Canada.
Swing and a miss, and that will do it as Davidson closes out the Blue Jays, striking out Wayne Leiden, and they win the exhibition game today here in Dunedin by a score of 6-4.
Well, Davidson in to come up in the 9th inning, get the Blue Jays 1-2-3. And pretty nice of the Toronto Blue Jays, to host Team Canada with its minor league complex, giving it a place to work out and feel comfortable in. And a pretty good display put on by Team Canada's hitters here, much as we expected. The strength of its lineup coming through to fruition to put up 6 runs on 8 hits.
This game really served the purposes of both clubs. Cito Gaston got another look at Scott Richmond, who will vie for a rotation spot. And Ernie Witt certainly got an opportunity to try and manage his pitchers in the first of 3 exhibition games. We'll take a break and return to Dunedin after this.
Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Give me the stuff, that sweet, funky stuff.
Getting money shouldn't be so hard, especially when it's yours to begin with, like your tax refund. With H&R Block's instant cashback, walk in with your taxes, walk out with your money. We make taxes easy. Visit your nearest H&R Block today or give us a call.
Give it to me, baby. Give it to me.
Buying your first home can come with a lot of unexpected costs. Did you budget for a home inspector? Dad doesn't count. And you'll need to pay for better legal advice than your friend Tiffany's. How do you know how much a house really costs? BMO First Home Essentials is a complete first-time buyer's guide that helps you plan the biggest purchase of your life with confidence. This step-by-step guide includes helpful checklists and an online planning tool that covers everything from figuring out what you can afford to budgeting closing costs in detail. And the Home Buyer's Hotline is there when you need it. Plus, when you get a BMO mortgage with a 5-year fixed-rate closed term, you'll receive free banking for 5 years. Also, get up to $1,000 cash back. It could come in handy for renovations. BMO First Home Essentials makes buying your first home make sense. Only $24.95 plus applicable taxes. Refunded when you get a BMO mortgage. Call 1-866-567-3062 to order.
Oh, we gotta check this out.
Canada land. Shoot a puck? Knit a toque? Shovel the driveway? This is so Canadian. Well, you gotta be kidding me. They got roll-up! Roll-up? We gotta get back to Canada!
Come on, Canada, it's roll up the rim to win time again. You could win an all-new 09 Toyota Venza, $10,000 in cash, Toshiba laptops, TIM cards, and more.
Right there. Back here in Dunedin with Justin Morneau. And Justin, a little sample of what maybe this Team Canada team can do once things get rolling. I know it was only a tune-up game, but how did it feel out there for the team?
It was good. You know, it was good to get everybody involved, and you know, pitchers threw strikes, and guys made the plays for the most part, and we hit the ball around a little bit, and we ended up winning. It's always important, even if it's just an exhibition game or whatever, to get that first victory.
Is there a sense, especially for the guys that played in 06, that you were so close, you had the 2 wins, and almost like you want to finish that job this time around?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Our pool's going to be pretty tough, and a little different format this time, so hopefully it works out. But you know, it's going to be a battle. You got a bunch of guys that want it. You know, they're playing for their country, and you know, I think we're good enough to move on, and that's our goal. That's what we're going in to do, and hopefully we start with that first game. We'll see what happens after that.
You know, there's been so much talk about how the hitting's there, but the pitching's inexperienced. But we saw today there's definitely some arms on this team that can get the job done.
There is, and you know, we had Lowen, who hadn't pitched in the big leagues, throw that game in 06, and you know, sometimes it's tougher when you face a guy that's got as good stuff as these guys have, and you've never seen him, you don't know what he's got, and you know, you only get to see him for one at bat. It's kind of an advantage for the pitcher, and hopefully that's what happens with us. We have a lot of guys they haven't seen, but a lot of guys with a lot of talent, and you know, when you have that, it's a tough combination, and that's what we're hoping works.
How much are you looking forward to that trip back to Toronto and playing in front of what should be a very large crowd of hometown fans?
Yeah, I read this morning in the paper they had 40,000 tickets sold, and you know, that'll be a blast. You know, seeing all the red, you know, red and the flags waving and all that kind of stuff. You know, last time it was in the U.S. and this time we're back home, and hopefully we don't disappoint.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, there's Justin Morneau of Team Canada. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays by a score of 6-4 here today in Dunedin.